This is, subject is the adoption of a local law, an amendment to zoning map attached to chapter 149 of the zoning code of the town of Moreau. It has to do with the changing of the zoning down near the intersection of Mountain Road, Old Saratoga Road, and Route 9. Does anyone want to be heard regarding this zoning change? Yes, sir.
Yeah, come down back, I live on Mountain Road.
This is down back, yes.
Were we supposed to receive some type of notification? It's just, I mean, we didn't even know about this until a couple days ago. You know, nobody's supposed to start it. We never received any type of notification that was going on. I talked to all our neighbors, nobody knew anything about it.
Well, I'm assuming the notice was published in accordance with zoning law, but we did discuss it at a meeting, but we really don't control what the post-star writes. But if there is any questions, did you look at the literature?
Well, just got it.
Just got it. Well, Mr. Guyback, we don't have to finish this tonight. If there's concern in that area, we can take that into account and certainly give you every opportunity to find out everything you need to know. Yeah, if you have questions, sir.
Yeah, my name is Jerry Stewart, and I'm the one that's bringing this forward. And I got a little clipboard if they want to come up, and I can put it right here if you want, supervisor, and then they can look at it. This is the same copy that you guys got.
Sure.
Is this all right?
Now, this started with the zoning board or planning board?
Planning board back in like September
Right.
on Old Saratoga Road, and they told me I would have to adjust the zoning line because it's split. So what we did is we came to the town board, can't remember the month exactly, and it was November. They referred it to Saratoga County Planning, and they recommended it. We went back to the planning board, and they gave a positive recommendation, and Saratoga County Planning Board as well. And then they gave it back to you guys. And we're not making big changes, we're just adjusting a little bit of commercial, a little bit of residential, give and take, all explained here.
Okay. If I may, we have a member of the planning board here. Reed, would you like to comment or enlighten us all on this proposal?
Your last name is
Stewart.
Mr. Stewart's property, two of his lots have on the mountain view, or the, how can I say, it would be the north side of the property, has two zones. And he wants to turn the two properties actually into residential, not business, so that those two lots that are around Mrs. McNutt's house can be residential. Can I get that correct, Janelle? So those are, he's trying to keep them residential and not business, and trying to keep the business zoning across the street on Old Saratoga Road.
So he doesn't want to zone back behind us?
No, he wants to turn that residential, so there's a house on the east side and west side of,
But I don't understand why it has to be rezoned. If it's
because
already
the property's already got, there's two zones in one piece of property. The way the zoning was set up in 1989, it was so many feet from Route 9, so it just ended up those two properties, there's a line that's half residential and half commercial. to turn them into not commercial, but residential.
We
Zoning.
have the north wing before we're behind us.
Yes,
So why would we want commercial?
So he's
outside
outside
the
the
north
train.
wing?
he's turning those properties into, well, when the zoning is set up, there's just so many feet and the line went through the property. He's turning two properties that are on mountain, on Mozart into resident, not residential and commercial, but just all residential.
It's on Spire Falls that the commercial is being turned residential, right?
Yes, it's the two lots on either side of us and not
Spire, the property, the line facing Mountain Road is the one in question.
Right.
So
It's, Reed, excuse me, you got
okay,
part of it where these people, I'm not sure where they live.
they're further down on Mountain Road.
And part of it, we were gonna keep it commercial behind them, and this is a copy of that sheet.
We know.
Yeah, so you got,
We look cute.
okay,
We don't want commercial behind us. We live
I
here.
think
yeah.
the
That's gonna stay
normal
residential.
request of this type would be to
So all this is
go
going to be
from
commercial.
This is darker.
residential to
I mean,
commercial.
there's wetlands in
This
there, so it might not be
will be
commercial.
from commercial, which that exit, you know, when you get off the Northway, if you were heading south to go south on Route 9, that lane to your right is commercial.
Right.
It extended, that commercial district extended all the way to the back lot of Edward Road and
I know, they didn't want to step on it, but
the
yeah,
other one
she's
is
talking about this piece.
Swire.
But when you had your,
You know, the back of both lots were commercial, right up to the back of those lots. What he is requesting is to change that portion that is shown in black to residential. And I
That's
know,
not what it says, it says that it's changed to commercial.
pardon me?
It says here, it is residential, you want to change it to commercial.
Yeah.
That's what it says right here on your map. It's now zoned R2, and you want to change it to C1.
That's correct. Current zoning.
it's also stated that way in the environmental assessment.
I'm reading it different.
Jim Barton stepped in also. Sure.
Oh, we're discussing the changes.
Well, from the planning board standpoint, there must have been a reason why that district line was drawn where it is.
You'd be better knowledgeable because you were there when I believe it was a line so many feet from Route 9, it was an arbitrary so many feet, and that's why it split the line through the property. It didn't find property lines, but it's pretty much so many feet from the main road.
I think, Gardner, if I could interject,
Sure.
to answer your question, I think what, the look of that line looks like an attempt was made with the mapping that was available at the time to track with the parcel boundary, and that's how it was ultimately interpreted, you know, in the mapping that was done. Once the parcel lines came in, because I think when the original map was done back in the late 80s, the GIS capability was not available, and that's why you're seeing that line the way it is. I think it was a matter of imprecision.
That's an interesting thought.
But having been in the business as long as I have, sorry to say I predate GIS mapping. I've seen it come on, I've seen it, you know, evolve, and now it's very accurate and actually a real tool, but at the time, that wasn't available. Because it's awful suspicious, as you're suggesting, how that line is, but it does basically track with the contour of that parcel boundary.
Jim, could, for the benefit of the public, could you just give a synopsis?
Yes, yes.
So that
And I apologize for my tardiness, I thought this was earlier. This is also a map, and this is nothing fancy, but it's a map off of the DEC website, and it does provide some basic insight into the physical constraints of the site. And I'll just briefly read these notes into the record. The notes contained in this memorandum are intended for your consideration as a review of the reference change of zone proceeds closer to a decision. Basic facts in regards to the request involves two parcels generally positioned in the northwest quadrant of exit 17 interchange of the I-87, the Northway. The parcels have frontage on Mountain Road, Spire Falls Road, the Northway, and Old Saratoga Road. The two parcels are identified as tax map parcels number 76-3-5.112, 26.92 acres in size, and 76-3-83.180.06 acres in size. The parcels are currently split between the general commercial C1 district and the 1 and 2 family R2 district. The C1 district line currently splits the parcel closest to the Northway, identified as tax map 76-3-83.1. The land use of each parcel is vacant, and according to the New York DC, there is a classified wetland buffer and potential for rare animal species on the site. A copy of the preliminary assessment is available through the New York State DEC map was attached. These factors will be subject to clarification and further consideration and potential mitigation during the site plan review process. That would follow should there a use be proposed. Should this zoning change be approved and the C1 district is laid down over that one parcel, all uses in the C1 zone are subject to site plan review, as are many uses in the R2. So there is some chance, I think of a very good one, that mitigation can be captured in that review procedure. And the other thing I would point out, bear in mind, this is not a complete rezoning of the entire parcel, or rather this is only a portion of that parcel. Compliance with the comprehensive plan, I bring this to your attention that this is usually a consideration when you're looking at a change of zone to see how it tracks with your current comprehensive plan. And I point out basically two factors. The plan calls for facilitation of business recruitment through efforts along Route 9 and the exit 17 interchange. Page 10 of the summary of initiatives. The change of zone request will be a step in the direct fulfillment of this initiative. The encouragement of business development along Route 9 and the exit 17 interchange is an objective identified as the highest priority in the implementation chart of the plan on page 2-6. Staff notes, and these are strictly advisory. I offer these as an opinion from me as a zoning administrator. The request for the change of zone appears to be reasonable as it is attempting to match the parcel boundary with the zoning district boundaries, thereby alleviating the current condition of split zone parcels. As a zoning administrator, I'm particularly an advocate of parcel boundaries that track with zoning district boundaries as a result in a more effective application of the zoning regulations. The presence of the Northway is a major factor in guiding the future use of the parcel for which the C1 designation will be shifted to. The high traffic volumes and associated noise are not conducive to a residential use, and the uses of the C1 district appear to align with the highway-dependent uses. As many of you recall, or may recall, we have that kind of unique listing in our C1 zone that says uses that are dependent upon highway or something to that effect, but it's that association between commercial and highway that is directly implicated in the C1 zone as it's currently written. A review of the use schedule for the C1 district and the R2 appear to make sense in lieu of the initiatives of the plan referenced above and the geographic locations of each of the respective parcels. Meaning the largest parcel is to shift completely to a C1 designation, the next parcel of a smaller size to the south and west is to be the completely R2. The elements noted in the New York State DEC mapping resource are deserving of further investigation. They come to site plan review once a specific use is proposed. As I know it, there is no uses proposed at this time. There's no specific project. And lastly, the information and notes contained in this memorandum are advisory and are intended to act as an aid to the town board's consideration of the subject request. The please feel free to contact me with any other questions. And I failed to give one to the attorney, I apologize. So those were the staff notes that were prepared. I hope that helps, and I'm also available if you need help with the seeker form.
Jim, is there any way you could overlay the wetlands on this?
Yes, that could be done. That could be done.
You know, the one you got
Yeah, the
there.
color map there, it does,
Because the colored one.
I have another.
I mean, that's not much help.
Yeah. Yeah, I can do that. I can do that.
Could I just interrupt for a moment? Can we pause in our public hearing just briefly so that we allow the clerk to make a copy of what the zoning administrator just read in the record? I think, if the public is going to be commenting, they should have the same information that is available to us.
Yeah.
And I believe you may be required to have that at the door.
I can go off and run off a few more times. Be right back.
Just a thought I had, this is someone, this first guy seen it, and I had a misunderstanding as to what way this was going. I was very confused, but I haven't had an opportunity to see this yet. So, it's obvious that it's going to require more thought on our part. And moving forward, it would be nice for these folks to have.
Yeah,
I think we need to know.
I think what we can do if the board chooses is leave the public hearing open, provide the information to those that are interested in attendance, and, we can have this as an agenda item at our next board meeting.
He still asks questions when he comes back.
Oh, yeah, we're not going to close the public hearing.
No, not at all. We're waiting, he'll be right back and, take everything into consideration, including, for my part, I don't want to go down there. Now, you own all the way to the northway there.
Correct, yeah.
The C1, right? You own across the road as well,
Just 4 acres, 4.5 acres.
where the old motel is.
No, not across, we're not across from Old Saratoga Road. It's on that map.
What, there's
Between Route 9 and Old Saratoga Road.
Just before we turn to go to Moreau Lake, correct?
Planning board already approved that because that was all in C1. And they stopped me from proceeding doing a subdivision in this area until we address the zoning.
right, that's just beyond where the boat sails.
Peter Brown's boat sales,
Right.
just to the northwest of that. Yeah.
Well, that is our,
C1,
it is C1.
yeah. The older house on top of the crest of the hill.
On the right?
McNaughton's house on the right. Past her house, that's partially C1, which is not a good idea for the neighborhood or the lot. I came to the planning board to try to get it approved for 2 residential lots, and because it has that little sliver of yellow on there, I couldn't subdivide it residential or commercial because it's run askew like a quarter of an acre. So they said we have to get the zoning line adjusted, not really changed, just tweaking it, adjusting it before I can do anything with the planning board. So this is front and back why I came here instead of mixed use on a bigger piece.
Yeah, I wish
Drop that case of attention and read.
Where they have
So the old house, we used to, we wants to be residential.
Yellow is our,
But the blue is commercial, and that's what's behind us.
71 acres of it still.
Yeah, these people in particular, who are your representatives, they're the ones with specific questions.
okay.
So before you leave, as long as they're here with you, I think it's extremely important that they get a chance to ask you whatever you want to ask.
Oh, sure, I'll stay there as long as need be.
Go back here to Mountain Road, the area that's currently zoned C1 along Route 9 in Old Saratoga, how many acres is that?
I don't have a specific figure without, I'd have to do some additional mapping. But the entire parcel is some, 80 acres in size. So I think it'd be,
No, 65.
yeah, 80 less 14, 15 acres, yeah, so like 65 acres is currently C1.
For the board, C1, what is that type of construction is that?
Okay, I can address that specifically.
Is there anything currently planned for that they want the zoning change for?
No, we can't proceed with the planning board until we address this issue.
Okay, in answer to your first question, the allowed uses in the C1 zone, permitted principal uses are business which primarily service highway traffic, that's what I was alluding to previously, such as restaurants, diners, and bars, places, and then the next line, places of public assembly, professional office, boat storage, repairs and sales, farm and construction, equipment sales and service, commercial greenhouse and nursery, mobile home sale, social club, hall and fraternal organization, motel, hotel and inn, fire station, municipal building, office building, post office bank, funeral home, and parking garage. Now those are permitted principal uses. All uses in the C1 zone are subject to site plan review by the planning board prior to them being constructed or installed. Now, uses that are permitted by special permit, which is from the zoning board of appeals, and special permit is another approval process, but it's a process that seeks certain standards to be imposed given the nature of the use. Rather than site plan review is a more technical review of how a site operates. A special permit may seek to install specific standards for a use to meet before it can be approved. And the uses under the special permit designation are same as R3, which is another zoning district, and I can read through those. Automobile sales and service, repairing and fueling, drive-in theater, laundromat, indoor recreation facilities, outdoor recreation, light manufacturing, nursing and convalescent home, warehouse for enclosed storage of goods and materials. So those are the uses that are allowed by special permit, and in addition, they also have to go through site plan review. So anything subject to a special permit is essentially a two-step approval process before it can be installed. And I can go through the R3 reference. The R3 uses permitted by special permit refers back to R1 and R2, except that the following requirements apply to daycare centers and daycare centers. So daycare center is another one, and then referring back to R2. Oh boy. Uses permitted by special permit include, same as R1, club or lodge, funeral home, golf or country club, swim club, professional office, grandstand or stadium, cemetery, daycare center again, quarries, gravel pits, mineral extraction, and telecommunication towers or related equipment. And then for R1, because there was a reference back to that, R1 includes places of worship, associated buildings, public or private school, museum, municipal building, public library, daycare center again, playground, office of commonly recognized profession when conducted in a dwelling by the inhabitant thereof, park, and home occupations as defined in the zoning chapter. And that's it.
I think we'd be remiss if we didn't mention fuel depots. Given the history of our,
What they want to do is they want to take that.
given the
zone
history of what happens.
and move it back into our residential area.
Yes, that's shifting into what you have in black on your, it's shifting to that block.
So the only thing he's making residential is this little yellow right here, and this little yellow up here, which doesn't mean a hill of beans to any of us. This is where our problem lies, right here, where he wants to move back all this commercial stuff into our backyards.
It wouldn't be close to your backyard, that's correct.
Where would the entrances be for the property?
The frontages are here on Saratoga Road, that's shown here, and then there is for this parcel, that would be it. I don't think you're gonna get anything on Rossland Causeway. Yeah, so, it'd be limited to Saratoga Road, and then this parcel here, which would be in the R2, has some frontage on, Mountain Road, and, and there is a throat here, a small, it looks like it's about 60 feet in width on Spirefall.
Where that current logging entrance is?
Just to
So
the east
all of it
of
is
that.
where you log, right?
To the east of that. I'm not sure.
There's some gravel laid down
It
for,
would be towards the north way.
Yeah.
From that, yeah. That would be a residential, single-family home for that lot.
okay, so that wouldn't be,
That wouldn't be no commercial, that'd be
you couldn't access the commercial from that
lot.
Spire Falls location.
It would be border in the north way.
Yep.
In Spire Falls. And it wouldn't be a road, it wouldn't be a road, it would be just utilities. Only, it would be a drive-on road, commercial road, or nothing. We just got that designation there for public water, and that's all.
Okay.
And maybe like 9, but there will be no drive.
No vehicular access.
Yeah, there'll be no access to drive on that.
This goes through regardless of the boundary change, you still can develop this property.
That's right, the commercial zoning does exist
Right.
today
So,
in this section.
so whatever went in there someday, a board is going to determine, would you say, require a driving impact, increase of vehicles accessing Old Saratoga, the impact on that area, testimony?
Yes, there is a traffic impact, or a traffic assessment has to be performed as part of the board's investigation.
Trying to remove a motion and look at this from both sides, I certainly understand Mr. Stewart wanting to increase his commercial availability, so it makes it more desirable. It is a residential area, it is a recreational area with Moreau State Park right there. I would just ask my board to keep that in mind, especially as recreation housing continues to be developed in the area, and be respectful of that area and the number of people living there used to a quiet backyard.
Now, I will point out for the board's consideration, in a rezoning request like this, you do not have to take the use schedule as written. If there are things in that, or if there are elements in that use schedule that you have objection to, like if you were alluding to the fuel depot, you can specifically say in your decision that fuel depots are not allowed with this rezoning. The C1 zone is laid down, but with the exceptions that you feel are appropriate given the circumstances associated with this parcel. So you need not take the whole lump sum of all these uses. If you think some of the things there, given the physical constraints, proximity to neighbors, if you think some of those things are inappropriate, you can remove them from the use schedule of this rezoning by this legislation that you're considering.
The parcel that will be rezoned.
Correct.
And that goes for land for.
Yeah, like goes with the land, not the owner. So I just point that out for your consideration.
Now, should the board also say we don't approve all this, what will be half, for lack of?
Yep, they can approve some of it, none of it, or all of it. And also stipulate the certain uses. It doesn't have to be everything that was read into the record tonight. If some things are viewed as being objectionable, that's your decision.
Okay, I think we kind of, got to where we're at. Todd's idea was to adjourn to a...
Well, I think we should leave the public hearing open so that we can continue to receive comments. We give the public an opportunity to review the documentation that they received tonight. Maybe they can, along the way, whenever we want to have it discussed again, provide their input so that we may have it before we debate it.
It might be appropriate to renotice the hearing.
I would renotice the hearing
At whatever date in the future that you take it up again. There's a lot to consider here. The uses are extensive, particularly how this code is referring back to the R1 and the R2 and the R3. There's a lot of things listed there. And, we have uses that were by virtue of a zoning board determination, the fuel depot. So like I said, if there's things in that schedule of uses that you don't think are appropriate, they can be X'd out.
And it would be important, of course, to include you in that. I think if that's what we have a motion for,
We couldn't make a motion to keep the hearing
for
open.
that, and to pick it up at our next meeting, so that I'm sure Mr. Stewart is wanting to move along. So,
Yeah, and I would also just point out that, historically, our zoning has always followed the property. So, in fairness to the individual who requested the change, we also have to consider that. So there's a lot to consider here for both sides. And I do believe there may be a place where we can accommodate everyone, but we need to know where everybody wants to be from each side. So.
Well, perhaps the applicant could give some consideration to, is there any conceptual ideas you had for uses, in a group or that, from the list that we have, so that we can start to narrow this down. Because my sense is that I think people might like to be a little bit more restrictive given the proximity to the residential neighbors here that, is there a middle ground that can be met here or considered, just as food for thought.
Yeah, my comment, or my opinion is that list, Jim, that you read is real long laundry list of items where this particular piece is not ideal. Like the neighbor said, there is quite a bit of wetlands on that. So that naturally will be a buffer anyways with the wetlands, the overlay of the wetlands.
this is what I thought would come out in, an overlay for one thing. And, but I still think it would be pretty enormous change for many, many houses there, so I really think we've got to revisit.
Well, I will definitely get you a specific overlay map with parcel boundaries on it, the rezoning shown, so you can see what part is in the wetland and what is not.
Would you also please provide these people with a copy of what each zone, a list of those items
Yes.
would be allowed so that you could have a chance to sit down and look at it? And we have questions.
Just contact me real quickly and I can forward things back to you. And I'll give you my office hours too.
Anytime, any of you are welcome to come to our house and walk back there with us.
Yeah, and that, if I could ask Jim, could you highlight for everyone the parcel, where your parcels are in relation to this? boundary change on that map?
Our partial is 67.1. Theirs is right next to us, the double.
I'm sorry, what was the number?
So back in there where he's,
Ours is 66.2 and 67.
So we're not directly impacted, we're not
I just-
on board of the change, but it's
still close.
We didn't know where the change was.
so those factors in.
But, do you know if there's been any contact or input with the neighbors who are directly?
We will. This weekend tonight, because someone read it.
Okay.
Yeah,
So notices aren't set on, it's just done through the public notification through the paper.
Yeah, their initial concern that they brought was no one was really notified about.
We can take that extra step.
I know in the village, whenever there's a variance request, the adjoining neighbors get a letter.
We do that with site plan review and variances. We could do the 500-foot notification if you'd like.
Yeah,
All right? Yeah, we will do that. We'll do a direct letter.
Okay,
Well, we're in a public hearing, we just don't, we just keep it open.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Ladies, you know,
This stays open. We don't have to.
This road bounds itself. That will
Yes, so we'll leave things
The next meeting is going to
correct.
All right, we, leave this public hearing, and I would ask everyone to, pledge allegiance.
We don't.
For the regular meeting?
Hold on.
Either way.
Attendance?
Oh, yeah, we'll call it. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilman Brennan here.
Here, thank you.
Councilwoman LaClaire here. Councilman Cruz here. Supervisor Condon.
First item on the agenda is the approval of minutes for April 25th.
I do have a couple changes on the minutes for April 25th. This is the regular town board meeting, page 131. Under the discussion for highway department requests and the tandem roller, the 6th line down, I think there's something missing in the mid-sentence there. I believe just the words and that it has rolled over before in reference to the roller.
Roll over.
It has rolled over before. There's something missing in that line. And also in the second to last line, where it says residual value out of the old, I think it's missing the word old roller. What's the word roller? And on those same minutes, just below page 134, below town hall personnel policies, I had stated that, or reported that we did have a sewer analysis answer from LaBerge, and that was after I checked my email. And while the emails don't have a copy. I had said that we would have it, but it wasn't included. That's all. And then, okay. And on the minutes for the workshop, for Southern Small Fire Company and a joint meeting with the village, page 143.
They're not part of this.
Oh, there.
No, you have those in your box, they're not being approved.
Okay. Don't we let you know for,
Yeah,
okay, sorry.
but I don't have them with me.
That's all right.
I have nothing to refer to.
Yeah, this is a real easy change. It is on page 143, underneath my comments. Sixth line down, it should be roll R-O-L-E, not R-O-L-S. That's the only thing. That's all.
Anyone else have any corrections or additions? If not, motion to approve. With Todd's corrections.
Motion to approve the minutes of April 25th for the audit meeting, the regular town board meeting, and the public hearing on the
Also,
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
abstaining.
One abstention. Motion carried. Next item is set future meetings. No discussion on that. We're going to move
Do
right
you want
along.
to reschedule the audit meeting, would normally fall on the 23rd, is the fourth Tuesday. Did you want to move that or just leave it on the 23rd?
Glad you did. The 23rd of May,
Right now it's scheduled for the 23rd of May.
that'll be fine.
I'm fine for bills.
I don't do them, so I really don't know. Usually you back it up.
Either that or the 30th.
It's Memorial Day.
Yeah. So, 23rd. Next item is the public comment period. On the agenda, does anyone like to be heard on items on the agenda? Hearing none, we're going to move to highway garage roof settlement. Old item.
Mr. Supervisor, that's an item I think for an executive session. Malahar is going to be here shortly, and I think that's something he wants you guys to discuss in executive session.
That'll be fine. He is expected then?
Yes, yeah, probably in an hour or so.
Oh, okay, very good. Next item, the Adirondack relay. Announcement on September the 22nd. Is there anything we need to do regarding that? Gina?
No.
Just announce that it is. Here's the files here to represent the village, I assume.
Yeah.
He would like to talk to us about the SEA settlement and his current understanding of things, and he probably has some questions, so.
Okay, number one, Department of Health would like us to have a longer term agreement to buy water for backup, and historically we have. Right now the town's looking at, on our peak days, needing a supplement to what we have. We're trying to find out if the town can fill the village tank or not. We've been told they can, we've been told they can't. So we need to flush that all out. But nonetheless, we're looking for a longer-term agreement. And economically, we're looking, asking to have an agreement that is closer to cost. And I would recommend to our board we have some mutual consent so that we work together on those things in case you ever needed a backup, although you do have the county and Queensbury. Because that'll be a financial decision for us. We're looking at spending around $130,000 to add a well. The well's there, but to put an air stripper in to get rid of the sulfur, or a percentage of the sulfur smell. So that'll be a cost-benefit analysis to whether we want to buy water or...
I don't see why we can't discuss numbers right now. What is your understanding of the current agreement, and how much are you, the village, in the event you need water, how much are you having to pay for?
I think it depends on how much water we're going to need, whether we're buying it as a supplement or like when the village's riser pipe, they shut down. Remember 1 December, they bought all their water from the town. I believe we're paying $3.25 gallons now, and at that rate, we're more likely to be putting in the air stripper.
Is it your feeling that $3.25 is more than you should be paying? I'm trying to put it right out there.
Well, to be quite candid, we'd like to see us work together as communities and buy it at close to cost.
Would you not agree that the village should pay the town under those circumstances when you need water, the same amount plus a little bit for our part of the system that the town pays Queensbury?
Yeah,
Would that be
I'm open to the numbers, whatever they might work out to. I know you have to buy capacity. Is that what you're talking? Is that what you're referencing? Or you're?
No, I'm trying to.
You buy from the county, you buy from Queensbury Bowl. One contract's more than the other, but the one you have to buy capacity into. But I don't.
Yeah, but that doesn't, that pricing doesn't enter into, once we buy the bulk price, I mean, it doesn't go up, it goes down. So, the more we have, it doesn't cost us more.
Right.
So I'm just trying to find out what your thought is relative to the cost and having some agreement that you would pay, rather than a set amount, an amount that we pay for the water.
That would reflect your contract.
Reflecting our cost for the operation of our water department, whatever that is. It may not be very much.
Yeah, I'd be interested in knowing what that would be, and that's something we would entertain.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I don't see that.
Kind of what we're asking for, I think.
No, I just want to get that right down. I mean, the difference between what we're paying and what you're paying is too much. I don't see any problem in resolving it right away.
Well, then, if you can agree on something, present us with a draft contract, and I'll present it to our board.
I think the simple wording myself is saying that we should charge the village what we have to pay Queensbury, and plus whatever costs associated with the transmission are appropriate.
If those who
That would be because of the, pardon me, but the amount theoretically can change with Queensbury, so you're constantly, having that, but
Yeah,
it would seem to be a lot simpler.
Contract plus your transmission. I think you pay Queensbury and Nickel 1,000 gallons for transmission to use their pipes to get to the
Mary, that's to be determined.
Yeah, Yeah, if it's a formula,
All the
I have no problem with that.
the connections are made, they're all paid for. And that was done many years ago, so other than opening a valve, you know.
Last year, I think we exceeded our yield only 2 days out of the year. But now with the Pinecrest development, and we were on a ban last year, so we put the ban on, we need less, but we don't have the ban, we need more. And that subdivision was 44 lots, I think it's in the range of half built out now.
Right.
And then the other one is the Skirmahorn project with a high rise, the 3 apartments. And as those apartments fill, we'll have a little more demand for that.
I think it's pretty evident that given the fact you had problems before with these additional users, you're going to need to, have more use for it.
And we've got plenty of source for the other well. The well's got sulfur, and we've got to build this air stripper to eliminate as much of the sulfur as we can. So we're trying to determine now, are we going to spend $100 and some thousand to build the stripper, or are we going to buy water?
Also got other problems besides sulfur, it's hard water too.
Mayor, do you have a figure that you feel the village would charge the town if the town were doing one?
I would say we base it on our costs, and no, I can't speak for the board, but I'd recommend we have an agreement where we do something similar with each other.
I think we need to factor in the cost of what we buy from Saratoga also, because if there's a day that we have high demand, you're not just getting water from Queensbury, we're getting water from Saratoga. So to say we're going to give you the Queensbury price and the rest of it's picked up by our taxpayers on those days with that water, we can't.
Well, we had to buy 150,000.
I mean, that's a part of the cost of getting water, it's not just the Queensbury.
Right, I mean, we have to, we prepare your order.
Well, there were several factors when we offered a price. Well, one of them was we wanted to talk to the village members on the board at the time because the price they offered us was higher. And the board
I understand, and I just don't think 2 wrongs make a right. I remember the village position when we were using the village water as a supplement for Nolan Road when we had the pumps, and then they said you gotta buy all or none, and I know a lot of you remember that. And then at the next point it came, we had to buy it year-round or none, so.
well, we demonstrated we don't think 2 wrongs make a right either because we were the ones who contacted the village. We were the ones who said to them, we don't want to charge you $380,000. We don't have to. We were the ones who offered a smaller price per thousand. We were the board that did that because we didn't want 2 wrongs to make it right. We wanted to make it right. We have other factors that we have to consider, just the board for discussion. One is the Saratoga County water, and the other is we have 6 water districts in our town, and they all fluctuate as far as what we charge them. Some have debt, some don't, as you know. And it's difficult. As a matter of fact, years ago, we set a price for the village, which was low enough where people from our water districts came in and wanted to know why we were charging someone outside the district less than we were charging them in the district. And that's from our water districts.
And I'm cognizant of all that. This is just a question of we want to work together. It's not like we're buying it year-round from you.
I think, no, my point, I think we already demonstrated we want to work with the village. We're the ones who contacted the village and didn't want to charge those high prices.
And I appreciate that. I just want to get some dialogue started and see where you want to go. And the other item I'm here for is, I'm not sure if the agenda is correct, but it talks about an SCA settlement. I wanted to talk about the litigation. I didn't want to imply there's any kind of a settlement or the status of it. I'm not sure where you're at with it, but the deputy mayor is here, and if you could give us some sort of a status or invite us into an executive session because it has a huge impact on the village tax base. And I don't know where you're at really at this point.
Okay, have you had any discussions with our assessor?
Very brief. I felt like I had to get a direction from the board on it. And,
Well, you know, she is, you know, the assessor herself.
are you hearing me? Is the assessor here?
She wasn't able to be here tonight.
So.
I have made contact.
In terms of an update on there's nothing secret about an update of you know, a tax case and work for so you can move ahead with what you have to do to have an update. But that's all I'm saying, that well, I can't answer any questions. Can any board?
The only comment I'd make, Mayor and Deputy Mayor, in my opinion, you should absolutely be invited into the executive session.
Thank you.
I just have a question. Does the village want to join us as a party?
Well, we need to consider our options. I'm not sure, I haven't discussed it with our council, but we may be able to have intervener status. I'm not sure whether we would or we wouldn't, but the numbers are significant enough that it could have a huge impact on the village budget. So, I'm trying to get an idea. You know, I don't know if appraisal's been exchanged. I don't know if we've got a court date.
I'm surprised you don't have intervener status.
We would probably have to file for it.
I'm saying, I'm surprised you haven't.
Yeah, but we obviously weren't served, and we were served. So the only numbers I have is what the grievance, what they asked for, and what the current assessments are. I think there's 21 parcels, and I'm not sure if they're even all in the village, but the big one's the paper mill. It's around $27 million, that one parcel. So that's a good part of our tax base. So, and our rate's higher than the town, so it has big significance to us, and even more so the school. Is the school intervened, you know? All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Supervisor, can I ask that you go back to the Radnor Relay, because the documents that I have in front of me, they need either a resolution or you to sign this document saying that you're in agreement that they have the race in the town of Moreau.
Yeah, I'll make the motion on that. We do need to have a motion, so the application can go to DOT.
Go ahead.
We received a request from Julia Bullard, who's the Senior Race Director for Radnor Relay Series and Radnor Events LLC. And in order for them to move forward and obtain their DOT permit, requires completion of the attached form, I believe, or a resolution. And I think it would be easier to make a motion in support of allowing the race in the town.
I'll second.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And authorize the supervisor to sign.
Aye.
I'm looking where I was first.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Only one copy, Leanne, you need
Just one.
this one. I'm going to hand this down to her.
Oh, okay.
I thought we approved this, but the approval for the furniture for the judges, last meeting, fine. If not,
Oh, I think they're just letting us know, it's okay, sorry, man. They're just letting us know that they did get it. Whatever it is. That, yes.
you received the funds.
He just wanted to let us know that they received it.
As far as the second sentence, we have followed the current policy, the town can request to purchase 2 bookshelves and a fireproof copy.
With the grant money?
Yeah, with the grant.
So just motion to approve the expenses be in order.
Is that a motion? I would second.
Somebody, yeah. And then I'll just approve it.
Okay, second.
All in favor?
Aye. And now it's $1,480 and that
Is I guess he's not here, but did you get a chance to look at the Bloomberg Terrace grant writing proposal? That's a good one.
I did read over that.
So this is the property that has environmental use on site.
Right, yeah.
The only question I have is if they, because they were part of the plan that was submitted to EFC, that they move forward and take care of this on their, well, with our assistance on their own. Does that have an impact in our ranking for EFC funding? In other words, will we lose points without them as part of the project?
I can't answer that, but I think that
The only reason I asked that is that we were at the threshold, we were the last line of the threshold on the for awards. I mean, we would still be eligible for the money, it's just that we wouldn't get the low interest rate.
well, the thing is, it's a different than the environmental facilities. This is through
Yeah, this would,
development block grant.
right,
So, I would say
but they'd have to be.
let's check that, make sure it won't impact. But there's so much that, we've got to do to, get grace or something here that this is the one that, by the way, I've asked for the report from the health department, going back sometime over a month. And, they just notified me we won't be getting them until June. So that was kind of a disappointment, given the fact that, they're the ones that approved it in the first place, and created this problem. And I think there's a major problem. I think that our roads would be helped a great deal if we had the record of problems there and so on. So, I'll keep after that to try to get that. The latest word yesterday, was we put an RFP in early, an RFP for it. And I'll get to you too. Well, nothing like working together. And they find a problem, we're trying to solve it. information. It's going to take until June to get it here. The health department. They're the ones that inspected problems over there, which was a major reason for all the work on the sewer. We've looked into trying to resolve that problem. In order to resolve it, we've got to have a reason why we need the grant. But we were not privy to the copies of the, we only hear what they say, but we don't have the results. So, anyway.
So could before we move on, I had a few more questions on the proposal from LaBerge. So
Sure.
if I'm reading the grant proposal, they are saying that the application fee will be $6,800 plus expenses, and the engineering will be a lump sum fee of $8,000 plus reimbursable expenses for engineering report and district formation. And I know it requires an income survey, so that would be, according to this proposal, $1,500. So I guess I'm a little confused. Is the town paying for the grant to help a private landowner?
I think that's probably the case in any type of sewer, and we're helping private landowners. But the answer, yeah. But isn't that what happens when we borrow money to?
Well, so to take that to my earlier comment, so we're looking to spend this kind of money that has the potential to cost the town more money down the road if we want to take advantage of environmental facilities funding, because we'll have to charge our users if we're successful in Norman. Am I following that?
Yeah, well, it's entirely possible, but then again, I think we have to look at that whole funding apparatus under environmental facilities. And I think we all came to the realization that there was fraught with problems. And simply trying to move ahead with what we're faced with over there. And God, I think there's responsibility on the town's part. As you go back, if things happen, it should have been done better. That the town has a responsibility. After all, they pay taxes all these years. It isn't like they living here for free. And services provided in those situations are not that great, really. So, I think it's a normal government to provide that.
Well, I mean, I understand the issue, but I'll have to use a real-world experience. So if somebody who is down in the ag district where you have heavy soils, where they're required by law to have a pressurized mound system, which costs up, as you know, $15,000 more. Does the town have the responsibility to help them with their sewer issue?
I see the difference in being that 50-some-odd trailers over there are pre-existing for over 50 years. And that would, to my way of thinking, would be the difference than one individual heating a mound system. But good question. I think town government's full of those kind of queries.
How is this different than a large apartment owner having sewer problems and the taxpayers paying for it, or Dave, who has a mobile park, coming in and saying, hey, I've got problems with the sewers on half of my park on this side? And how is that different than this? Dave has issues he talks about when they come down the road for him with the sewers, as you build or something such as that. How is this different than that?
Correct. Dave doesn't have a problem, you know, that's the
But
whole
if he
fault.
did,
Dave manages the
If
property.
he did, but
Dave manages his property, he's got responsibility. This is a business.
Yeah, what I'm trying to point out is that they have a problem. They have a problem, and that's something that I don't believe Dave has right now.
Dave's made investments into his business.
May I?
This is a means to extend to solve a problem that exists very close to our force main. And for a grant, and there isn't even, and it would qualify for a grant for the income level and for this situation that exists for over 50 years. And that's why the grant would be available in this case.
50 years this person owned this property and did nothing to care for it, nothing to maintain it, and now they want the
Well, I'm
taxpayer
not sure
to
that
pay for this grant so that they can have new sewers.
I'm not sure that he didn't do anything. What I'm saying is that it was built under the approval and watchful eye of the New York State Health Department. And it doesn't work. And there's problems and they have been cited. But it's there, okay? And they don't pay taxes, and Dave does, and everybody does. It's different in that the income level is different. There's all these reasons why a grant would be acceptable on that project, that it wouldn't be, as far as we know, acceptable at Route 9. That is the difference. The best as I can explain it. So,
I think we've talked about moving forward with sewer. I think before we make any decisions to spend money on one specific area, especially $16,000, that we need to spend some time deciding what we're doing with moving forward with sewer, like we had hoped to be doing at this point. That I think that I'd rather look at it as a whole first before we start to figure out the pieces. It's my opinion.
okay, no problem.
Could somebody on the board explain, I mean, you're talking amongst yourselves, we're not privy to the information. Could you give us a synopsis of the situation of Bluebird, this property here? Because I don't think it's really, a lot of what you know is not public knowledge, and it should be. Could you explain the whole situation, please? Because we can't understand, at least I can't figure out what's going on because you're talking amongst yourselves, and we don't have that information. Could you, somebody just give us a 5-minute synopsis of what's going on?
Bluebird Terrace has had septic problems for a couple of years at least now that we are aware of. And I say a couple, it could be 3, it could be 7. I can't tell you how many years we've been aware of it. They were included in the last attempt to put sewer down Route 9. That part of the reason we got the grant that we got was that they were included. That this is a request for the board to spend $16,100 for a grant to possibly bring septic to Bluebird Terrace. And I'm not saying I don't think they need it, but I'm also saying...
Septic or sewer?
Sewer, sorry. They have septic that's not working. And we were told some time ago that the owner of that property had either didn't want to make the investment or couldn't afford to make the investment into new septic, so I think they've just been waiting to see if we bring...
But hasn't there been a new owner in the last 2 years? And didn't you have a bond on that owner to make sure he complied? And then you released the bond because he complied? So what is the real issue? Can somebody, is DOH, basically what Mr. Connie said, by hearsay, there's a problem there, but you haven't been given the paperwork. Is that what I understand?
What's in front of us tonight is a request to approve $16,300 in cost for LaVerge to put in a grant application to bring sewer service to Bluebird Village.
So are you saying their septic systems do not comply to DOH?
I can't answer that.
Well, I can kind of, the way this is set up, the mobile home park owner cannot apply apply for a grant. We have to apply for it. But by virtue of passing this, opens the door for us to communicate with him. And the recommendation from our engineer, LaBerge, is to have him pay the $16,000. Since, as you have stated, it benefits him.
Yeah, his
Okay.
business.
So the actual cost to the taxpayer, it's the mechanism, in order to get a grant, has to go through this board. But we can
And I don't have a problem with that.
meet with him and say, we're willing to do this to solve your problem. Get a grant to do it, you see. And that way, he should be able to see the value of the work that our engineer would do and the board would do in providing the mechanism to get the work done.
And I understand that, and I don't have a problem with that, but if we are going to expend this money by hiring this engineering firm, I would like to see that we have the cost of performing the work in a trust and in an account already on receipt of the town.
Well, that would be part of the resolution, Todd, to pass the idea to then be able to bring the owner of the park in and say, we pass this thing, we're going to take it, it's going to cost us, and are you willing to move forward with this plan?
Okay, well, I don't, all I see is a request from the church for us to hire. That's all, I don't have a resolution, I didn't know anything about a resolution.
Well,
When should,
that part's open for discussion, in terms of a
Supervisor,
resolution.
Supervisor, Mr. Supervisor, wouldn't you, in establishing an extension of the existing corridor, take those funds and it would be paid back or reimbursed to the taxpayer through the debt of that extension? As you would establish, move that corridor or move that sewer district into and include it, that money would be reimbursed through those people who receive services. It seems to me like if you're writing grants, which grants are free money. Somebody said the grant for the Route 9 corridor, that wasn't a grant, that was a loan. This grant is money that's probably provided by some state fund someplace, which is, it's not a matching grant, it's a full grant. So that seems like cities and towns do this all over the place. They write grants, they get money. It seems to be an easy process. I don't know why this is a difficult process to write a grant to go after that money. And it would be reimbursed back by that extension. Any taxpayer money up front would be reimbursed by the extension.
Well, this is number one, this is an application, this isn't the grant, there's no guarantee.
Right.
We spend funds, there's no guarantee.
Right, there's not.
Number two, this money would have to come out of this year's budget. How do we recoup that and have a balanced budget this year?
Right. From the unexpended portion, but anyway, the last sentence here, it says, to Rich, to try to answer your question as to the money. Avoid any conflict of interest. We prefer to be retained directly by the town. If the property owner is to pay some or all of the above fees, it is recommended that the town have them placed in escrow prior to us commencing the work. So a resolution stating to move forward on this with the approval and of the owner of the park willing to move forward, that we're willing to move forward if he puts the money in escrow so that we can move forward for this grant to benefit him. I would guess that he would be of a mind to do that. I mentioned before, I've been trying to, move this thing ahead and to get the reports from the health department so that we could better understand, how serious this is. I'm opposed to it, but I don't have it in writing. I'm hesitant to make statements that I don't have it in writing. So that's basically what this resolution would do. I'm sorry, I thought everybody had read the whole thing.
Dave's another question, but Reed is correct, that there was a new owner, and the new owner did say he was going to take care of the issues.
There's no taking care of it short of a suit. If you want to remember, to take care of it under a 2-year, 3-year period, it was part of a sewer program.
I understand.
He was going to take care of it through that. That got kibosh. So now it continues as a problem. We looked at it as a separate issue. I really didn't want to get into the mirage of creating that problem to then bring in the whole Route 9 and go that whole convoluted route. I'd rather not do that tonight. I don't think it provides any good purpose. This is a simple way. The force main is right there at the corner, 3,000 feet approximately. A grant, given the circumstances, I am told it's very, very possible there's money there in that. It's not EFC. And, looking forward to putting that money in that, Don Rose had put in here and said, we have to move ahead. You have to, it's required that we do it. If the owner doesn't want to provide the financial resources for us, we don't have to do it. You see, but to move ahead, there's no point in bringing it in here at this point.
If he's willing to pay for it, that's a different thing.
That's why I thought everybody had read this. It's all right there. So
that's how the resolution would read?
Yeah, I mean, again, discussing, I thought.
As long as the resolution reads that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You guys make the resolutions. I'm just providing the mechanism to, you have all the facts. I think your questions, by the way, well brought up. I think they are answered in this proposal. That's all.
I think we also need our attorney to review a contract or come up with some sort of a contract if we're really going to do this with this private landowner, because it.
Well, tell me this, since you brought that up. No, I'm not going to say it.
I think
I'm not going to say it.
I was just thinking,
The value of that is just about zero. Thank you very much.
I just want to know that we're protected, that if we pay for
I'd rather
this,
do
and
it
then
myself.
they lose that to them.
There's a couple of questions out there.
They're worthless.
Dave has a question?
Dave, good standing there.
I'm glad that Todd brought it up. It doesn't seem to be any part of the rest of the discussion, though. If we lose Bluebird Terrace to this grant, and I'm all for the grant, I would love to see them get their property fixed.
Pardon me, Dave, I'm not following, I can't.
If you lose that 2,000 feet and take care of Bluebird Terrace,
Yeah.
okay, what's that do? Or if we want to get somebody else to come in and try to write us a grant all the way down Route 9. I'm not just talking about land planner, I'm talking about everybody down Route 9. Why shouldn't the board turn around? We've had this discussion for a couple of months now, nothing really has happened. Now you have a grant in front of you that you're looking at, and the landowner, if he's smart, would probably pay for it. I mean, the dollars make sense. But what about the rest of the town that wants sewer, that needs sewer to grow? If you lose that part, are we going to get back on the list? Or is there somewhere else that we can get a grant? Why aren't we looking at this at LaBarge and saying, wait a minute, yeah, we're going to get him to pay for it, but what about the rest of us? Let's see what grants we can get for the rest of us. That's all I'm asking.
I don't, I hear what you're saying, but Given the given the nature of your question, I'd rather really not debate that issue with you.
It's not a debate. It's not a debate. It's a simple question to ask the town board.
All right, I'll debate it. The difference is you have a failed system over there.
Okay.
You have people living in a substandard condition. We have reports to that effect. To conclude them so that we can get a line down here over on Route 9 and hold them hostage.
Not holding them hostage.
Yeah, we are if we don't do something. You just said if we do that, it might impact getting the sewer on Route 9. I'm going by what you said, or Dave.
Okay.
So, my answer to you is I'd rather take care of what we can do and not some pie in the sky deal that we've tried twice, and it wasn't even close.
I'm not asking for pie in the sky.
It wasn't even close to.
I know, that was such
Yeah, it wasn't even close. This can be done, and that's the difference, to do something that benefits the people that need the help.
I'm all for it.
All right, thank you.
Now, let's go back a little bit in history here. When that community came up for sale, those systems were failed. I looked at that part. I was going to buy that one. There was no way to bring that community up to standards on the septic systems that were there. You had to take out half the homes. Okay? I have no problem for him getting a grant. What I have a problem with is the foresight that the board is looking at going, wait a minute. And I thank Todd again for saying that. Is, yes, we lose that little portion. We don't want to lose that portion, and then maybe that's the wrong term. What we want to do is gain that information and get a grant for the rest of us. Why should the town people have to pay for it? There's a grant for Bluebird.
I just explained that the owners.
There's more grants out there is what I'm saying.
Well, that's what you're saying, but that isn't what the experts that look for grants are saying. And
Has anybody asked Labarge if there's more grants?
There's grants for this because of the situation. There are not grants right now. That doesn't mean that we wouldn't look for grants. But wasn't it understood at the time of the hearing that without grants for the Route 9, the mechanism to pay for it was simply not there?
Exactly.
Exactly. So, do we just sit there and do nothing for the people that need it?
No.
No. And that's the purpose of this. This guy, if he's willing to do that, and I have talked to him, I think he will be, but I can't say for sure. But to move forward and try and get something done of a positive nature, you know,
is a good thing. But you don't say, okay, he's going to pay for it, you're going to get a grant for that, and not look ahead and say, wait a minute, that hurts the rest of the town. It's just, I can go back 30 years and say, we're buying town water from the county. How ridiculous is that when we should have done it ourselves?
You're talking to the wrong people. Talk to your legislatures.
All I'm asking for the town board to go to Labarge and say, is there
I'm trying
more?
to answer your question, Dave. They make the rules on grants. We don't.
Okay.
We have to go by what they give us to apply for. If we don't get, if they don't make it available, it's not there.
Okay, simple question. Okay, simple question. I don't want to argue with you. I just want to have this conversation. Simple question. Have you asked Labarge if there is any grants for the town? And where is that information?
Information?
Yeah, where is it that you asked Labarge if there's any grants? Have we hired Labarge to look?
In more than one meeting that I've had with Don Rhodes, and what he has done is found, here's where there is one. And that's why I want to move ahead with it.
We never saw the information.
But as far as everybody knows, if there was grant money available for what was proposed last year, the only way they made that viable was to make up bogus EDUs. You know that by now. You know that.
That's in the past. I'm talking about now going forward.
It was a complete fraud.
Right.
In a word. So now we got something that's open, above board, and can be done.
Great.
And you still,
We're asking for more. That's all I'm asking for.
We're subject to this, to what's out there and what's available. So, any more than that, I'm hoping to move forward with the understanding that we've discussed up here. And if the owner doesn't want to participate, we don't participate. Because that's simple. But it's a means to move ahead with correcting a situation in town at no or very little expense to the town. And solve the problem. So.
Gardner, thank you for
I
taking...
called on Harry, thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry, Gina called on me, sorry.
Oh, actually, I was just pointing you.
I don't care.
Good.
Harry, go ahead.
The only thing I can say is, the last 3 days I've been at this conference of mayors. There's been presentations. There's probably over the next year or so going to be more funding available than there has been in a long, long time. You really need to look at these competitive grants and what it takes to get one and where you score. And that particular parcel, I believe, may have been under consent order, and those points will help you score big on an application. It's a question whether you're going to use that to leverage a different application or project, how it might affect your chances on any other grants. So I want to go over that with my engineers and make sure they see the big picture and where you really want to go.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'd say thank you for looking for a solution. I mean, obviously, nobody wants to live in subpar conditions.
I can't hear a word you're saying.
Okay, I just want to say thank you for finding a solution with the grant. I think that's great. And after the failed vote this winter, I thought that the board was going to take a look at the town overall, on an overall solution for the whole town. And part of that may be this bluebird, but if we look at the whole town, what would be the option if we got off of, septic onto sewer? What are the different segments, whether Route 9 would be one? But people, I think, were looking for an overall idea of what the town, if money wasn't an object, if we could pay for anything, what should the town do for the infrastructure? And then find the grants to go along with what would be the perfect fix. This sounds like it's a perfect short-term fix. I heard that maybe even Skimmerhorn, that corner there of Skimmerhorn would be, and Bluebird would be able to also be walking. That may be a good solution for them, but I think overall the town would have more trust if we felt there was a bigger plan, an overall plan, even if that is a 5-year, 10-year plan, so that we can keep an eye out for grants. And I think it was Dave's brother who recommended maybe allocating a dedicated person to seek out grants, especially if it's sort of commission-based, like his brother was saying, if you get X amount, you get paid X amount. But just something more inclusive so that we do have a plan going forward. So that would end.
Anyone else?
I think there's one more point that Todd brought up, that that the terrace is taken care of, you lose points, and the EFC funding was based on environmental issues, not economic issues. And so if the terrace is taken care of, you lose that environmental points that we've been talking about, what Harry brought up. So you got to be careful. If you solve that problem, you're going to lose points for the rest of the town. And the third point is that the board was going to do something with a committee, and it's now 2 months, 3 months later, and there's been zero done. It's very disappointing.
So, what you're suggesting, we should trade points for the help of people living in a trailer park. Is that what I'm hearing you say, Reed?
I'm saying, no, it isn't, sir. No, I'm saying is that the owner...
If you have a problem in a trailer park that needs help and you can get a grant, whether it hurts points for the rest of the town or not is irrelevant.
What's irrelevant that the board hasn't moved one iota about sewer for the town when the last project got jobbed. You asked us, citizens, to move forward and work with you as a committee, and nothing's happened. That's bad too.
Thank you very much. This is nothing. This is nothing? Thank
One
you very much.
solution for one
What's the
taxpayer.
property owner doing?
Call this.
What's the
One
property owner
solution, one
doing?
taxpayer.
Be accurate. I'm sorry. Anybody else? Put a resolution before getting more nonsense, moving forward on this proposal.
The only comment I will make is, I think it is easy for us to sit here, those of us that are fortunate enough to live at a standard that is what we like. These people have lived at or Supervisor is right. People have lived at a substandard level for quite some time. And I don't think it's fair to them to now hold, I've been here a long time, I know how long things take. It's easy for us to have this discussion tonight, that we should hold off on this and wait and look at a bigger picture. Realistically, I know what that really means. The bigger picture won't come to fruition quickly, and these people will continue to live in substandard conditions. I do think this is a separate issue. I do think this is an opportunity to actually help some people here in town. And, I'm ready to move forward because of that.
Thank you. Anyone else like to hear? Are you okay with it?
I'd like to see what the landowner has to say.
Oh, to get there, you have to show the landowner we're willing to do it. They're certainly not going to spend the money. That's pretty clear in the report from them. All this would be as a resolution moving forward to, with those who finalize an agreement and money in escrow to move forward with the grant application under the guidelines set forth in this.
But if it's an escrow, he has to enter it in there, like the attorney, to just kind of go through this and make sure that the landowner, if they say, yes, they want to do this, being an escrow doesn't mean if you don't get the grant, they don't get their money back either way.
All those things.
I'd like something in writing that's binding. I'd like to speak to the landowner about that.
Well, I'm trying to get to a point where we can bring the landowner in and tell them, we've taken this step. Here's where we stand. Don Rhodes will be here. Certainly we'll talk to him before, so he knows what's up. And if he doesn't, well, there's no, we've already discussed this, how many times, I'm repeating myself, we have to explain that we're locked into a process. And I certainly understand your concern.
I'm willing to entertain conversation. I'm willing to have an open mind and speak to the landowner, the attorney, and governments. I can tell you that.
So the other option would be that we pass a resolution hiring a Burge group to apply for this particular grant depending on the landowner.
Exactly. Putting money in escrow to cover the expense.
Placing the amount in escrow prior to us commencing work.
Exactly. Would you put that in motion form? That would cover your concern.
I want to wait. I want to talk to the attorney.
Well, that's your feeling. What's your feeling?
Well,
You want to hold it up as well?
I'm offended by that statement.
Well,
And I'm going to go on the record by,
you know,
I'm not holding.
Nobody's
I do not have unilateral authority to move anything through this board. It's a board decision by majority vote. So don't tell me before okay. Now, I will make this comment. This is a private business. I have no problem helping private businesses if we can afford to do it and the town gets continuing return. I am concerned that in an effort to help this private business with a significant health code violation, at the expense of taxpayers, how does it impact the rest of the town? And I would like to, before we move any further down this road, ask our engineer, what is the impact, as Harry pointed out when he spoke publicly, what whatever ramifications, if we remove this issue from the overall goal of our town to, increase our infrastructure, is it going to cost the town down the road? Is it going to preclude us from having access to certain grants? I don't know, I'm not an expert in it, but I bet you the engineer has an idea that if we remove this project from any future sewer expansion, he could probably tell us what that impact would be. And I would like to know that impact before we move forward.
Okay. I would like to respond to that, though, that, and again, it comes back to what I said before, that Bob touched on as well, as sort of holding people that have lived in a substandard situation for many years, number one. Number two, it's something I see in government all the time, and it really concerns me, and it's why I get upset. Why is it that the morality of action is put aside, and I'm not accusing you of that, I'm just saying the general sense, and putting the dollar out there in front of the best interests of the public, and worrying more about that, and pass money through law firms, and I could go on about that, spend all this money, and in the meantime, we sit here and we wrestle with each other over laws that we don't have any control over, that make it difficult for us to provide a better standard of living for our residents. That's basically what it does. So we find out, and people have spoken here tonight about, why don't you do this, why don't you do that? And we could be here till midnight, you know that, explaining to them the myriad of laws that we have to wind our way through. And to ask an engineer, this part you may not like, but haven't we learned that from a standpoint of knowing your town, you cannot get an engineer from Michigan by way of Canton to come in here, which we did, and know the town, and be able, no, not that one, it was last year, who even after we talked to them, put forth a program that didn't have a snowball's chance in Hades. So, again, it's a matter of what you want to do. I was hoping that Alan would be here tonight and move forward on this. I think it's a great opportunity. And is there a chance that it might impact going down the road? I don't think so, because any right-thinking person would say, there's a town that took the bull by the horns and did something good for people that needed it. And I can't believe that if the proper application was made and those kind of reality was put forth, that anybody would say, well, you did that for those people, therefore, we're not going to now do any more for you because you don't have the score anymore. I think it would help our score. That's the difference. Because I still think there's good people out there. I'm losing that thought as time goes on, but right now, I think there still are. But you have to put in your case. And not to do something for that reason, I couldn't live with it. And I'm not, pointing to anything except the realization of how things are and what we're faced with. I'm not picking on, like you said, I'm saying we are in a box about having to deal with it. Many boxes that are hard to get out of. But that's, I have to make my point. It's just the way I am. I can't help it. And I feel strongly when I see people, particularly people that need help, refuse help. It's got to be for a damn good reason. And I don't hear that reason here tonight. So I'm not going to see it.
I just have a hypothetical question, and that is the owner of the park, if he had
Yes.
If the soil conditions
Okay,
allow.
okay, so, just like any other business, you have predicaments. You know, I don't think that it's the town's responsibility to take care of every private business that's having financial difficulty. I mean, we all up here want them to be successful, we all benefit as a community when they're successful. But to take action that has the potential, and I can't recall, I think when this project was included as part of the overall proposed sewer district expansion, it may have been 20, 25 points. Now, if you're the last, if your community is the last one on the score, I think 25 points takes you out of running for at least for lower or low interest or zero interest loans. And at the end of the day, if we are successful down the road with growing our infrastructure to benefit our commercial district, who's going to pay for that decision we make today? It's going to be those residents in the EDU.
Well,
They're going to have to pay the extra cost of debt
Todd,
and interest.
Todd.
And now, so can I just finish, please?
Oh, I'm sorry.
So, and I bring that up because you brought up the issue of morality. Well, every decision that we make up here, we must balance against what is proposed and what the impact is on everyone. And that's a balance of the decision we all have to live with.
Okay.
And that's where I am tonight.
Okay, in 1995, this town undertook a grant and a bond to put a force main in the industrial park for private enterprise. The cost of that project was put on the taxpayers of the town. Who is it benefited? People living there who are living in a substandard situation, and we got a industrial park down there, fully served with water, power, and sewer. And who paid for it? The taxpayer. Who benefited for it? Spurlock Chemical Company so far, and the town owns 5 or 6 lots that nobody wants to buy. So we're willing to spend $1,300,000. The board.
I didn't vote on that.
I've been trying for 1 solid year to get Malcolm to move forward on getting that money back, which is another subject. I'm glad you're here, Malcolm. But that's a fact, folks. That's a fact. That's not made up. So when you talk about your theory or talking about spending money for private enterprise, it comes right down to, in my opinion, just what we read about in the national news, and the one that, what is it, they call it, the 1% gets 90% of the goods, and the rest of the people get zipped, and if you're poor, you really get zipped. And I'm sick and tired of that. On a local level, we can do something about that. Read the paper, read what's going on.
They must have misunderstood the industrial park. Didn't that go to public vote? Wasn't it voted yes because people were hoping for jobs and hoping for tax relief?
No, that is
happen.
the problem.
It's not.
It didn't go to the public vote. It was approved, okay, with a subject too, but it never went to the vote. But it was done, but it was done under the aegis that the money would be paid by the sale of the lot. No lot sold. So what happened? The town taxpayer pays interest plus. And they are owed that money, and I have taken it up, Malcolm sitting there, repeatedly for a solid year to do the legal end. As you know, we voted in our budget this year, $150,000. We're going to be short. You folks are going to be short. Not me, I'm not going to be here. But you're going to be short 150 grand because there's no action taken on recapturing and putting forth a legal mechanism to capture that money that is owed to the town taxpayer, to the general fund, among other things that haven't happened. So, where are we at? We're discussing, whose ox is going to get forward, as I like to say. as usual, the poor guy that's trying to make a living in a substandard situation, and we spend $1 million for a vacant parcel down there with sewer and water, but we argue over providing a decent habitat for human beings living in a substandard situation. I don't even know how we argue that. I don't understand it. How do you argue that?
If it's that subpar, why isn't it shut down? How are they able to live there? And what if they don't get this grant money? If you don't get the grant money?
Over in the industrial park, is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying that in Bluebird Terrace, right now, should the people be living there at all? I mean, what if they don't get the grant? What if we spend all this money, they don't get the grant? Should they shut it down if it's that toxic?
The resolution that I would propose is that the owner of the property put in escrow and pay for it.
All
Stated,
including expenses. And not just the estimate, but the expenses.
I guess what I'm hearing is from everybody, is that we would hold up doing, applying for a grant that would provide a sanitary situation for a small trailer park of some 50 or 60 trailers, 35, some 200 people. And we're not going to do it because it might impact some future grant down the road 5 or 10 years. So what we're saying is, you continue to live, and Bob, you touched on it, you continue to live under those circumstances while we fool around and hope the state legislature opens up some money to run sewer down the yard. And we keep some points to you people by living in a substandard situation, give us more points. That's what I'm hearing. That is what I'm hearing.
Excuse me. I don't think that's what you're hearing. I think that's maybe what you're hearing, but the rest of us are hearing. Maybe table this for 2 weeks. And you get the information that we're asking for. We're asking for, does it lower our points? Not that we're going to say at the end of it all, okay, that's a chance we have to take. But nobody seems to know right now. So why don't we table it for 2 weeks, get that information, get LaBarge in here and say, yes it is, no it isn't, maybe it won't, maybe it will. But get the information first and then vote on it.
You're asking a hypothetical question, Dave, and you know it. There's nobody that can tell for sure what that answer is.
They know what the scoring is right now.
Hypothetical, if we do this, 2 years from now, will this...
I'm not asking 2 years, I'm asking right now. Is there grants out there right now, if we lose our score, that score, what's going to happen?
We lost it because it never was viable.
It was garbage. That's in the past. Let's not go backwards. Let's go forwards. Okay? We've learned from the past, but let's now go forward with it. Let's 2 weeks, get the information, bring it back to us and say, okay, now we have it. Now the board can make a decision on it, because you got some people that are yes and no. Well, if you had an informed board that knew that information, you can vote. If you don't want it because you're going to lose points, you say no. If you do want it, go, well, you know what, we're going to help them out anyways. Now I got one more statement. If I ran a community that was substandard, that was supposed to be closed, would you be wanting to help me? No. I'll answer for you. No.
For my resolution, the answer is yes. You got to put up the money.
The problem is, Bluebird Terrace was supposed to be closed before it was sold. The gentleman that bought it said he was going to bring it all up to standards. I have no problem. I'm glad that he's going to get a grant, he's going to go there. But I also don't think that it's fair to the guy 3 doors down, or the guy on the exit 17 that wants sewer, and goes, wait a minute. If the engineer says, yeah, you're going to lose it all. Now, you can get the grant later, but if we apply for a grant for everything, and we get it, we'll take the $750,000. That's great, it helps everybody else.
Well, again, I'm going to finish with this. I've been here 2 years. Under those conditions of going that route, those people are going to be in those standards for a long time. That's about it. I've seen how things operate. I know how they move.
Yep.
I've been here a while. Under that plan, those people are going to be in that condition for a long time.
I heard earlier there was a bond
That's what history will
that he had to pay to bring the community up to standard.
That's what history will tell you.
And to add to that, you mentioned that should have been closed. Tell me, would you be prepared to take 60 mobile homes dragged over into your park? Would you-
Unfortunately, the town code doesn't allow those homes to be moved anywhere.
Right.
Or any other town, because they're too old.
Exactly. So that still puts the burden on the people that are living there. The burden is there. We don't even allow somebody to say, we'll build a brand new park and have 60 people. They can't even do that. What we can do is recognize failures of the past, and unfortunately to solve problems, you have to look at the past to see what the problems are. And that is my position, that we have overlooked for many years a substandard situation. And now there's an opportunity to get a grant at no cost to the taxpayer if the owner doesn't agree to it. And I am convinced that it would not hurt our chances in the future. It would help it rather than hurt it.
I would like to hear from an engineer on that point. I don't believe you're an engineer. I don't believe you write grants.
I think the people who get grants would look at the town of Moreau and say,
I don't believe so.
You don't think so?
I don't believe so.
Well, then boy, we're in a tough shape tonight.
We are. And again, you said that those are reasonable people that that give out money. They are not reasonable people. They have a guideline to go by, and if you miss it, you miss it. So my question is, can you table it for 2 weeks? And then by all means, once the engineer says it's not going to hurt you, it is going to hurt you, then everybody can make up their decision and go from there. I'm not against it by any means, but I think you don't have enough information to put a proposal forward. Thank you.
So where do we stand?
Number 8, so something.
Are we going to just go by this item 7? Is that
We have
what
2
we're
weeks.
Is that what we're going to do?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving right along.
Can I, since we're talking about sewer, there's been comments that cast aspersion about people not doing things to get us the information. I have a draft of the sewer rate analysis dated April 17th that was received by your office. How come we don't have it? How come board members?
You should have.
We don't have it. I'll tell you what, we've had these conversations on sewer, it'd be very helpful to have the latest information. Council have it.
I can't believe this.
I can't believe it either. Actually, I can believe it.
April 17th.
Yeah.
There would be certainly no reason why,
Well, and
did you look in your mail?
and I get everything electronically, and I open it immediately when I get it. So if you could direct your office to provide to the board members, I'd greatly appreciate that.
Yeah, did I see what, the one I know that, there's no reason.
It says draft on it, so I don't know.
It's obvious, just reading it, you can see there's no reason why they wouldn't want you to add that.
No, but there's some detailed information that'd be very helpful for some of these discussions that we've had tonight. And
Of course. very good.
Thank you.
Next item, did you read it, about Great Cottage and the $5,000 check? Nothing I want to read, but again, here it is, so. I don't believe that, 5,000, to Welch Communications for what it's for. I don't see any real need for that reason it should be done.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe we budgeted for it. We're going to have to do it.
No, it was. It said 2 years ago, provided the 5,000 for the challenges we faced with Mount Gregor prison closing. Now I'm asking if I could appeal for another donation, since we face new challenges. Lecturer in mass media, Suni Odiana, Welch Public Communication. Again, I know what's going on with that, and it isn't. In this communication we've got, it doesn't really even tell what their cause is. So
when we received this request in years past, the board had requested that representative, and I think it was Tim himself, come before the board and outline what he would be using the money for, and he was more than happy to do that. So I would ask him to make a presentation to the board, and I don't know if we budgeted for it this year or not.
We didn't.
But, you know, I think the presentation would be helpful.
Next item, just a resolution supporting the Adirondack Aquatic Center from the town board. Someone like to move that. So, in the back page. Says, whereas the town board of the town of Monroe recognizes that aquatic sports and pool activities are enjoyed by people of all ages. Whereas activities envisioned by AAC include learning to swim, exercise, therapy, and competition. And whereas the town of Monroe finds the addition of this new facility enriches the county and the region, therefore it is resolved the town of Monroe fully supports the Adirondack Aquatic Center in its endeavors.
So,
Okay.
Also, what I think is important is our support will assist the board, your board, and local legislatures in obtaining grants for the funding of this facility and through private investors. I mean, my first thought was who's paying for this?
Yeah.
That answers it right there, so.
And that isn't the money that's a good thing.
I'm an eye on that. Yes.
Any opposed? Motion carried. All right, we need to memorialize the vote to have the town hall road fertilized drug control done by the rec people. We have a polling of 3 yeses. You're here, would you like to agree to that? And then we'll have 4.
That's fine. I'll make the motion to approve the rec department doing the lawn mowing, fertilizing, drug control, and the work that needs to be done on our lawn to bring it back to a good standing. That'll probably for us.
All in favor? Motion carried. Next item is we have a letter that Matt has forwarded to us. Appreciate permission to place a trailer on our property located at 2 Palmer Road. Our intention is to you have any information regarding, well, as you know, it's not allowed. I don't know what the board's thought is on it. I know that there's been times when we did over the years and times when we didn't. And Jim, do you have any thoughts on this request?
That's something that would be, completely up to your discretion. You're right, it's not, by the town code, they're not mobile homes, they're not allowed outside of mobile home parks, but exceptions can be made. They're dealt with on a case-by-case basis. I don't know the particulars of this in detail. Matt handled it, but that's why it's here. You have, your discretion if you want to approve this or not. If you do approve it, I would make sure you put very clear restrictions as to time frames for removal, that type of thing. And we want to make sure we have steady progress towards the home construction, and this doesn't start to become something the mobile home is there for a year, 2 or 3 or something like that.
Have they requested a building permit?
Yeah, I mean,
They have requested.
That's my understanding. They have a building permit on for the permanent home.
Okay, and this doesn't require a local law to circumvent or zoning?
Well, no, that's why it's here. My understanding is you can approve this to the town board. You can provide the waiver that permits us to be there on a temporary basis. But you're right, it is, normally it's not allowed.
Is he talking about a trailer like a travel trailer? Or is he talking about a trailer referring to a mobile home like what you would see in
I
mobile
wish,
parks?
Gina, I wish they were here to answer that.
That I do not know, Gene. I don't know whether it's a RV style, camping trailer or something that you see in a manufactured home site.
If you'd like more information, table it for 2 weeks.
That's reasonable.
If anyone could find out, are the neighbors right there? Are they alone in a rural area? I don't know exactly where.
Well, that's the other option you have, if you'd like the neighbors to be notified. And,
well, I just need to know
the context.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
And maybe we can recommend they come before the board.
Yep.
Then we can answer around.
Okay. I'll email Matt tomorrow, and then I'll be in the office again on Thursday, and I'll speak with them about it.
Okay, next item.
Actually, I know that there's construction going on there right now. You know where it is, right? Towards that farmhouse down in the corner towards the building.
Right on the corner.
Looks like they're working on it now.
Yeah, we've been for a while.
The other question would be about the septic, the need for septic at the house, at the home.
Next item is item, Reed, is that something you've got with,
Yes.
Constellation and National Guard, what to talk about?
Yes, the town had a power purchase agreement with Constellation that ended December 29th. I've been concerned and had some conversation with Fran, and the power purchase agreement was supply power to 14 of the town's meters for the last 2 years. Starting in January, we had no agreement. I was concerned that the supply power wasn't being paid because we didn't have an agreement with Constellation, and then as I reviewed the National Grid bills, those bills are not having supply power on the National Grid bill, so I was concerned those supply power are being paid at all. The other day, Fran showed me vouchers that were paid by the town to Constellation Energy Services for the supply power, even though we no longer have a power purchase agreement. That price that we're paying to Constellation is the same price we pay National Grid with our other meters. The power purchase agreement that Constellation presented to the town in November and December to start for the next 3 years was at 5.216 cents, I believe. We're buying less power, we're paying less through National Grid. That's point one. Two, I think National Grid has changed their model very well, and they're selling supply power to residents and businesses and towns at a much lower rate than these ECHOs are providing. We're going into a power, we have an agreement with Solar City that's going to be starting up soon as they get their array going. I see no benefit for the town to have a power purchase agreement with Constellation Energy Services. I recommend that the supervisor office send a letter to Constellation that we're not going to do business. And then we also, supervisor also contact National Grid that the supply power put it back on those 14 bills so that we pay National Grid the power, supply power, not Constellation. That's what we're doing presently, even though we don't have a PPA with them. Moving forward, when the Solar City gets going, we'll be able to use the volumetric credit that we've been awarded against some of those bills that we're paying, so to reduce the nightmare. I think, I don't know, did you see the 2 emails that I did? So the second email did a better job on the breakdown. So pretty much 71% of the town's usage is paid by the general fund, and 29% is based on user based on certain lighting districts in the water districts. So I think the volumetric credit will work well when we use that money against the general fund accounts. But you can work it out. There's several different ways of doing it, because you have 2 water towers that are like the second and third and fourth highest bills in the town. So there's different scenarios. It's whatever the board would like. And that's something you need to discuss among yourselves and make a decision. Fred and I thought the general fund, because the town, it has a contract with Solar City, and you have to pay for the power, so that's a general fund expense. So maybe the general fund should get the credit. That's one way of looking at it, or we use the credit for this bigger account. That's the second way. And that's a choice you have to make. I don't know, is that?
Good report, thank you.
Any other? Okay, that's pretty much simple.
I agree with you about the Constitution and down to time. He's talked to Fran, talked to Fran today about it. Basically, I don't know if I fully had my mind around it until I talked to Reed last week. Our agreement with Constellation is an agreement to purchase power from an entity other than National Grid. Just like if you had decided remember a few years ago when power companies were saying, buy power from us instead of National Grid and we'll save you money. That's basically what happened with National Grid. We were still paying National Grid for the use of their lines to get that electric here, and the use of, what was the other item that we were paying for their lines, Reed?
Transmission,
and
all of
transmission.
especially the infrastructure.
So we were paying Constellation a rate in the beginning that was less than what National Grid was charging us. Now National Grid, and a lot of these companies, I've heard individuals say, hey, this isn't working so well anymore, I'm going back to National Grid. That's what Reed is looking for the town to do, because he's compared the pricing and found that Constellation isn't giving us a better deal any longer because National Grid is come down on their prices and they are more competitive versus these small companies that generate power outside of National Grid and try to sell it to the consumer through the National Grid lines. So I agree with Reed. Thank you. Reed had an immense amount of research and papers to go through. Thank you for explaining it in a way that I finally...
Yes, you did very well, Jan.
National Grid to purchase the power as opposed to buying it from Constellation. I think it got convoluted because we had solar here, it's the solar here, and it's the solar in the industrial park, and it was a solar source of power. It wasn't us owning panels or anything such as that. So do I need a motion to do that? To have the supervisor sign a contract or to go back to notify National Grid we want to purchase power to Canada, our,
Whatever is necessary to make it happen.
No contract, all you have to do is make a motion that the supervisor send a letter to the National Grid advising that there is no contract with Constellation anymore. That's my understanding, right? There is no contract in effect with Constellation. Agreed?
Yes. I'm sorry.
There is, the Constellation contract has expired.
Yes, as of 29th of December.
So the supervisor should write a letter to National Grid saying,
Yeah.
we're done with Constellation.
Yeah, and then we should be, the supply box we put on the utility bills. I think we have to take a lead in that.
That would be your motion, Gina.
so we'll,
Okay.
aye.
Next item, pass. Next item, beach building, Gina,
I have some big news. Jim and I talked a couple of days ago, and there is grant money. I'll let you explain it better.
I think as you're all aware, the consolidated funding application program is often is active, and the applications I understand are due to the end of July 28th, I believe. The town, by virtue of a past local waterfront revitalization program that you participated in, you're in that program. And once you're in the program, you qualify for the capital side of that program. It provides funding for capital improvements. That program has traditionally been, through the years, a 50-50 matching grant. It's a pretty attractive program. That's how, for example, the Hudson River Park plan was prepared through that program. But this year they changed it and they upped the state allocation to 75% match, 25% local share. So that's pretty attractive. Gina and I were discussing that development, and there's several options that the town has available to you. You could pass completely, or the Hudson River Park could be acted upon. There's the trail along the river that's been discussed. And the third option, and maybe it's something that the village would like to consider, is, because you were part of that multi-community effort as well, I've heard there's been discussion about this beach house. The construction of that beach house could be covered through this program.
what do we have to do to move forward on?
Well, there's a number of options. The beach house is particularly intriguing because it's as I understand it, I think I'm correct, it's a facility that's owned by the village and the town utilizes it, administers it, runs it. So the option there could be that the village could apply or sponsor that application for the LWRP to fund the beach house, and it'd be a matching grant. And I would also point out the local match can be in-kind service. So there's that diminishes or can zero out the need for a cash outlay. If that were the case, then the town's options open up to the Hudson River Park or the trail. So the village could go in for the beach house under their sponsorship, and the town, they could sponsor something else, or you could sponsor the beach house too. But you rarely see a community applying for the same program twice for two different projects. You're kind of competing against yourself. So, as a grantsman, I would say, in the ideal world, I can't speak for the village. I don't know what the circumstances are. You're thinking about this for the first time. I appreciate that. But in the ideal world, the village would sponsor the beach house, and the town would pursue one of those two other projects at their discretion.
And as a part of the village application, then they would be able to count work that we could help with, the gravel that we were able to.
Yeah, any kind of material like that is part of in-kind service. The only stipulation being it has to be after the award. So you have to wait on the project until, so the typical schedule for the CFA has proven to be the applications go in the end of July, and the last 2 or 3 years they've been fairly consistent in that the announcements are mid-December, by mid-December. And then that yields probably a grant agreement by January or February, and actual access to funds in the following spring, like about now, April, May. So you're a year away from having access to funds, but it is 75% match, so it's pretty attractive.
It's an awesome, it's an awesome ability to be able to put the beach house in at a greatly reduced cost, even if we were to buy a shed.
More done, we can work on that one, you like, and I like that.
So we could do both, I mean, and that's why I asked Harry and the board to be here.
And I don't mean to hit you with this cold air,
I know that, I just have one question. I know for the funding for the beach house, you guys were looking at that rec fund money. Since I think the village contributes to that, would we be able to use some of that money if the village wanted to pursuing this grant?
Actually,
Well,
the
the
village
village does not contribute to that.
Oh, they're not.
The developers outside the village contribute.
Okay, sorry.
On the record, G and I have met, we talked about that too briefly. Obviously, the cash match is acceptable. The town does have that as ability to use that as a catch, as a match, as part of your match if you so desire for the application that you sponsor. It could be in-kind service or cash or any combination thereof.
And we had BOCES, Randy Weeks that runs the Moreau BOCES program that's working down at the rec park. I spoke to him a couple of years ago, and I see him each year, and they are willing to help with breaking trails down at BOCES, so I would need to reach out. We have a lot to.
Things like that always make your grant application more attractive. When you undertake initiatives like that as part of your match, you know, you're utilizing, resources like that, it always makes your grant application read better. The reviewers like to see those kinds of contributions.
And there's value in those easements, correct?
I'm not so sure about that. I'm not so sure about that. But I think you have a number of options available to you, to utilize these funds, and the town would ideally go in for something, like I said, one of those 2 projects or maybe something else, and the village could pursue the beach house.
If we decide, yes, we want to do this, what is our time frame? What do we need to do? How quickly?
Well, much like the proposal you had, I'd write the grant myself personally, and I'd certainly be willing to help the village if they'd be so kind as to entertain that proposal. I'd be happy to provide you with one, and I'm sure you want to look around too. But I'm happy right away. It's due in July. We want to start on working on the budget, working out specifically how the in-kind contributions would be allocated. We have to assign a value to them. And I can talk about that with the state rep, what's appropriate. And the main thing is to arrive at a budget first. The Hudson River Park, I would say, is probably the most ready. If you recall, we had a cost estimate done for that as part of the work. It would be just a matter of updating that. And you have but you also have good information on the Hudson River Trail as well. There was a plan done by, I believe it was a student group, that's in place. So both of those projects are in good shape. I think there's been some investigation done about the beach house in terms of cost and the challenges down there with the floodplain and all that. We'd have to get that a little bit more shored up. That wouldn't be a problem.
What do we need to do tonight to move ahead?
I think you have to come to an agreement as to a plan of attack between the 2 communities. Is this something the village would be interested in doing with an application to the CFA, and would the town then be looking at one of those other 2?
Mike, you have thoughts on what Jim has outlined here?
First I've heard it, and I'm not sure. 'Cause
First we have.
I'm not sure who owns the building, because we leased the land to the village apparently for years, so. I thought the building was there when the.
I would suspect there'd be some sort of, if the village were to go in under that, you're the owner of the property, there'd be a need for an indication of support from the town.
Harry, it's more than likely a sort of convoluted agreement that, when it was done, so mostly just, I think, cooperation, who owns it, who cares? Work together and move ahead and get it done. I don't see ownership of 4 block walls and a roof as being worthwhile, holding it up. Don't you agree?
Yeah, first I've heard it, because I knew you were looking at making a substantial investment, and I thought probably we'd be looking for a longer term lease.
Well, the substantial investment was done when they ran that sewer all the way to that building. There's your main investment. The building itself is almost irrelevant to the cost of that pump station and all, what's involved.
And I'm not familiar with where you are with wetlands and
floodplain and all that
floodplain.
undertaking, so the investment is to the beach and it's there.
Well, see, that was my thought about, you're right, there's a lot of challenges there with the floodplain and the wetland that are gonna add cost to the project. But this is a means to overcome that added cost and keep it at an affordable rate with the 75%.
I'd be amenable to the boards to meet and see what we can do. I'm all for municipal cooperation.
Why don't I do that? I'll get further information on the program. I'll send it off to you, Mayor, and you can share it with your trustees, and
that'd be good.
I can certainly give it to Gina.
You can do a lot in the next 2 weeks.
Yes.
And gladly take what we have to Harry and let Harry see what we have and where we haven't really been anywhere. We were talking about buying a shed and fixing maybe a new restroom in the last 2 weeks, and that's what we're going to investigate. Are you interested enough for us to try to scramble and pull the information together enough so that you have a good basis to make decisions on yes, you want to go forward or not, or are you just not interested? I guess that's the question tonight.
Yeah, good, that's well put. Harry? You are interested, right?
Yeah, I'd be happy to bring it to the board, and
Yeah,
if I want to join meeting, I'd be happy to do that.
That's what Gina wants to hear.
I didn't know you're talking to me.
Well, I'll prepare I can prepare a joint letter. I'll address it to Gardner and Harry at the same time, just describing the program. I'll attach the information about it, and then you can see where the respective boards want to go.
And then we'll look at not the assets, but the attributes of each project so that the board then has some kind of idea on what we might be looking to do with each project. Because the time is going to start to...
On the Hudson River Park, that park was divided, I believe, into 4 phases. We'd be looking for the phase 1 construction.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Next item, number 15, the water tower lease agreement. All set to go. We need a motion.
Did it change from the last one that was presented to us?
The change was the length of time. They wanted more time.
We wanted, well, I know I expressed my concerns, I wanted it shorter. But they
Malcolm, do you have anything on that?
It's up to the board to set the term of the agreement. The agreement's been previously entered into, this being extension. They wanted, I think, to extend the time for 20 years, and I think we felt that was too long. That's what we're going to do with school again.
I talked back with Carla about it, and she was going to, thank you, she was going to reach out and have a discussion with them, and I haven't heard from her about that yet, so That's not something we have to decide tonight, correct?
She's been in a trial, so yeah.
Hasn't had a
It
chance.
have to be known.
Put it off the next meeting.
Just for the record, I had no problems in terms of the previous contract that allowed us to do 5-year extensions up to like 4 times, I think. They wanted 20,
Yeah.
they wanted 20 years. Yeah, so.
What, check in. Next item, highway requests, your Hudson Drive memo. Bob, you want to enlarge on your request a little bit, please?
Right now, I'm mainly looking to get the board to approve, just to put it out for an RFP for replacement. We got 620 feet of line that's been in the ground for 41 years, and has collapsed, and roots have grown into it. We tried getting it cleared so we could get it to drain, but we're still running about 4 foot over top of the pipe at 3 of the main lines. So people in Hudson Drive are having a pump, and it's just like a complete recycle all the time. Did a cost analysis, it's 14 feet in the ground. So it's a little bit over what we could do ourselves, but we'd have to run a lot of equipment, plus we only have a 20-foot right of way. So it's kind of restricted. I remember when we were doing the budget, we talked about Farnham Road and what we left it in, and we were going to discuss it before we did anything. Well, here's a good opportunity if we wanted to, if it came in at a decent price, to move the money from Farnham Road from repaving to repairing a water line that people are having basement problems with, a drainage line. So I'm looking just to get it out for RFPs right now and then come back to the board with it.
Isn't that a drainage district?
It is.
So, wasn't the drainage district created for those in that area?
Correct. And they paid for it.
See, I didn't know any of that.
Yeah. I'll have to, the first I heard about it, we'll have to check, find out what the status, I believe it's all paid for.
I think it is.
Put a short-term thing up when we built it back in the 80s. So,
I'm okay with RFPs.
if it needs updating or whatever, I know there's been problems there before.
Yeah, we've had quite a few problems.
I don't think it's something you can get through tonight, but we can move ahead and get you all the information.
Yeah, we get the information, and we'll go from there. Okay.
All right. Okay, what's your appropriation increase?
The appropriation increase is the same as last year. It's for the grant for Feeder Dam and Reservoir Road. Fran didn't give me what she put it. She gave you the copy of the appropriation. That's just a roll from last year over to this year. It's for that grant agreement, to cover our portion of it.
Yeah.
But I thought our funds that are unspent just go in the fund balance at the end of the fiscal year.
We rolled them from the year before into last year, and then because of engineering and the state, we got pushed off to this year, and Berg says we're really close to having a grant. So I asked Fran where the money was, and she says I forgot to reappropriate it this year, so that's why it's in there now.
We don't reappropriate. It goes in the fund balance when we budget.
We reappropriated it last year, I know that.
So basically, this is a budget amendment, increasing the highway budget by $62,800. And
That's our match. That's our match for the,
so where's it come from? Fund balance?
I guess it would have to come from there. That's where the money went from last year. Because it was going to stop.
How soon do you need to start on this?
Well, we already got one bill from LaVerge on it, so.
You already want
We already got one bill from LaVerge on this for engineering, for the grant. And actually, according to the state, the grant should be approved in the next couple of weeks.
So this is going to be, you're just looking for temporary, so we're going to be reimbursed this amount?
No, that's our match to the grant.
Oh. And then so 50% match?
No, that's a $200,000 grant.
So it's So we never, I guess I'm confused. If we were going to have, if we knew we were going to have work performed this fiscal year, why didn't we account for it in the budget?
At the time, I talked to Fran about it, and she says, I always move it, I'll move it over and around January. She forgot about it, didn't get moved.
How much money do we owe them?
I haven't seen the bill yet, but I know it came in and really told me he got it.
I think we need to know about it. Which engineer is it? Is it Don? It is Don? Okay,
That's a budgetary.
Looks like we did the same thing in March 29th of 2016.
Yes.
We did the same thing in March of 2016. We reappropriated unspent funds.
I thought that was the end of it, didn't you?
All of the process was supposed to go through last year and got delayed by, between our engineer we had and the state.
So when we reappropriated but increased, expenditures last year, where did that money go?
And we're right back in, we never got spent.
I'd like to do it more.
Okay.
Get the lead. So I really want to do.
We're not gonna pay this until the end of the month anyways.
Correct. We wouldn't be paying any of it until the process is done.
Okay.
We want to move forward with.
Well, I can't do anything with the state, we don't get the grant unless they know we have the money in the budget.
Personally, I'm all right doing this.
Okay.
Well,
She's got a good amount of paperwork here back at it.
It's Frank.
Yeah, it's great. That's what I'm saying.
It was a slump from
I'll make the
the
motion
beginning of the year.
to increase appropriations by $62,800 to DG 5112.49 6.4 highway improvements. Blacktop, mill and chip, mill vac, to increase, and this is to increase 2017 appropriations by reappropriating 2016 unspent funds for the Peter Dam and Reservoir Road grant funds.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? You have anything else on?
You have the one more request that didn't get on the agenda for the spending of the highway funds for doing road work for the cold in place recycling and the memorandum of payment. That was dated May 1st.
So these are two different items, sir?
Yes.
And this is this?
That's our regular budget, is what we went through our budget.
County contract, state contract, or what is this?
County contract.
County contract?
So on your second request, you have farm.
Yeah, that one number would be changed if we go with the other.
So you take it out farm, $60,000.
Yeah, well, Barnum was approximately 1,600.
And that's the way number.
We talked about it at budget time, we'll make it clear.
What's your pleasure?
Oh, these are all budget.
Yeah, these are all budgets we have.
So I'll make the motion, spend $66,805 for pulled-in-place recycling for Harrison Avenue Extension System to Bluebird under Saratoga County contract. Comes out of account DB 5112.493.3, and it has a balance right now of $66,805.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed?
And what's the story of the second one? We're going to remove farm.
We'll take 69,000 over that number.
You included farming in this, I thought we talked about.
That's what we were just talking about, taking that off. That was
So
a
I think
before.
it should be, what you want, we're making, spending almost $500,000 without a direct. So,
357,
357,05,050. I'll make a motion to spend $357,050. The project's covered by Saratoga County contract. Account balance DD 5112.493.4. And then it's a balance of $426.50 as of 5/1/2017. This is for blacktop road chip projects that are proposed on Clark Road, Columbine, Daffodil, Dogwood, Harrison, Cashmere, Christie, and Corrigan. Shimming will be done on Briarhurst and Lafayette.
Second.
Question, on Clark Road, are you going from where you ended up all the way to River Road, West River Road? Is that the direction you're going, or you're going the other way?
No, Clark Road's been done from Selfridge to 32 this year.
From Selfridge to 32?
Yep.
Where you just ditching on there?
Yes.
And you want to check that up and then repave it?
No, that's being topped.
Blacktop, no wood chip, only top.
Correct.
Motion? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Anything else?
I'll just let everybody know our chips is up this year, we're gonna give some more extra money this year.
I have something to bring up. I had a contract, don't go.
I'm sorry.
Over a quote policy. And I'm told by Paul that it's the town policy. If somebody runs down a town road and throws something off the country, and it bounces off the 50-foot right-of-way onto private property, that the town doesn't pick it up. Well, the very day that I had this conversation, there was an ad in the paper that we paid for, inviting people to bring all their limbs and put us in the town right-of-way so Paul could run around and pick them up. So I asked Paul, somebody dumped 2 very heavy chairs that got rained on Southern Road. They're about 5 feet off the right-of-way, maybe 7 feet. I was going to get it. I went to pick them up, and it might have been sometime in my life I might have been able to. I had picked up tires, I had picked up garbage, but these 2 goddamn heavy chairs are down there, they're still there. And I couldn't believe, I asked Paul, they're down there. Your men are working around the corner. And he told me that it was policy of the town not to do it. Now, I'm going to point out, and then you mentioned about the state doesn't do it. Well, I got news, the state does do it. The state even mows on private property. They even mow, like the corner of 187. The private lot, they go and mow it all the time. They pick up off the right-of-way. When we send the people out on roads and we don't have people with a sharp stick, do you think if a McDonald's cup is 2 feet over the line, that they don't take that sharp stick and poke it and put it in the bag? Of course they do. But a chair that would throw my back out if I had to do it, stays there, and you've got 8 people, the highest paid people in town, and you tell me, and now I'm getting mad all over again, to tell me he wouldn't do it. In the meantime, the next day, another bag of garbage is dumped, which broke open, and my brother went down, I wouldn't do it. My brother went down and picked it up, but we got a name, and on that one. Now, is it the town's policy, if somebody throws garbage and it bounces off the right of way, I'm not talking about driving down the driveway out of sight, putting tires and garbage out of sight of the highway, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about right next to the town right of way, which is 50 feet. So if you toss it and there's no ditch to catch it, and these chairs bounce farther back, then me, the landowner, is responsible. It just happens to be on my property, but I would be just as angry with my conversation with, not so much with you, Paul, but your idea that it's policy. I want to know what policy would direct the highway department in their spring cleanup to go buy 2 overstuffed wet chairs and make a landowner responsible for some jerk that threw them off alongside the road. Is that the town's policy? That's my question.
The town's policy is to do it within the, what's the word for the line?
Well, then I've already said that the policy is that, then why are they picking up outside with their sharp sticks picking? You'll pick up little light pieces of paper outside. They do all the time. Would you think when they clean a road that they don't get outside the 50-foot right of way? Of course they do. Of course they do. Come on. You gotta relax them. They're good guys. They're doing it. So you pick up a 2-ounce paper cup, but you don't want to pick up a 150-pound overstuffed chair.
I've never known the right of way to be 50 feet.
Well, why'd you think they were?
For the width of the road, not from the road on one side.
It's a 50-foot right of way. The pavement is 20. You got 15 feet from the edge of the pavement to the property line. These chairs are literally 2 feet beyond that 15 feet. That's how far in they are.
2 feet.
No, they're farther than that.
I got pictures of them.
I got pictures.
Well, what difference? It's supposed it's 5 feet, Paul.
I'm just saying,
Suppose it's 5 feet.
we've never gone on private property and picked up
You
chairs
did,
or
Paul.
shingles or anything.
Paul, I asked you, where is the policy? You said that. You said that's what.
Since I started in 99.
Where the policy is. Where, you made up a policy and decide, oh, these chairs, what, you're too heavy for your highway guys to pick up? You expect me to go pick them up? That some moron dumped off alongside the road? Oh, Gardner, that's your, or any other landowner in the town. Put it on
I've
that.
had several others in the past that we didn't, it's out of the town right away.
Is that policy or?
Well, I've already answered in writing where I am on it.
You
didn't like my answer.
Well, if
And
you
now-
want me to research your answer, I'll show you it's wrong.
Please let me.
Yep.
Okay, so. We have a state highway cuts through our farm. We have farm both sides. We have tires, hubcaps, garbage, car parts.
Right.
The state doesn't pick them up when it's out in our trees. Accident happened on the highway, they're not driving through our trees, but the debris gets cast out there. They don't come pick it up. State has a $156 billion budget, doesn't come pick it up.
You tell me the state doesn't pick up Route 32?
No, and when they mow right over and make one piece into 10 pieces.
We gotta talk to them about that.
Now, second of all, I think it's pretty offensive for you to make a comment that our town highway employees, the highest paid employees in the town, their contracts are negotiated, you voted for it.
Yeah.
So what are you saying?
All I'm saying is respect the taxpayer that pays their salary, and their boss is saying, now, as I pointed out when I started, we put an ad in the paper the very same day.
It's not for.
And we're inviting people, cut all your limbs and put them out in the state highway, we'll come pick them up. We'll spend our money for that, but we won't spend money for some moron that dumps 2 chairs off and put it on the landowner. I don't cut my brush, I never cut my brush and put it in the road for you to pick up, my leaves or anything else. Never. But I don't complain that you do that for other people. But I expect to be treated, just because I happen to be supervisor right now, equal to anybody else that is provided, that service is provided for at the taxpayer's expense. I couldn't believe what Paul told me, that that was policy of the town. Tell me, I'm not moving it, it's staying right there, and I'm gonna put a sign on it. This is your town board at work. That's what I'm going to do.
Well,
Because I'll be darned if I will pick up after people that violate the town's ordinance that we have at a high price at the landfill will cost me $10 to put those 2 chairs over there. So what do? They save their $10. We got the fee. We create the problem. No, I'm not paying $10. We'll dump it down along the road. And that's what they did. But we don't want to be responsible when we say it's going to cost you $10 to retrieve your chairs. But you don't want to be responsible when some bad person does what he did and say, well, we have the ordinance and, you know, there are a few bad people out there. And at the same time, you expect other taxpayers to pay for somebody cutting their brush and putting it out and taking 4 vehicles, I've seen them cost you a fortune to do that, when it would take a little 6 minutes to take one of your pickup trucks that you got down there, toss them on and take it over to the landfill.
Well, first of all, the brush pickup is something that was put in by the board back in
Well,
2001.
I'm not saying.
And it's nothing that the town puts out there, it's something
I
that's...
am bringing up, Paul, the obvious.
Let me finish.
The
Second of all,
confusion anybody would have, they would pick up brush by invitation, and you wouldn't pick up something thrown off.
second of all, now if I start picking up stuff on your private property and his private property and Bob's private property, how many people are gonna go throw their couch out on the side of their yard? I guarantee there is, because I pick up stuff every week in the industrial park, down at the boat launch.
How come you do that?
Because it's in town property. It's right on the edge of the road.
Oh, really?
We get I got 5 TVs right now out of the industrial park.
I saw them, and they're not on the edge of the road.
No, I got 5 in the back of the shop from the industrial
You
park.
know, the ones that were thrown off, and I went way down at the end.
Well, I don't know if they're down there.
Your stuff.
These were all right in that first turnaround.
All right,
Yeah, that's like a town dump.
That's a town dump right there.
so the policy of the town is if you live out in the town, the policy is if somebody dumps it off, hire somebody to clean it up. If it bounces a foot or 2 outside the town right away, you're responsible. And that's the way the policy is.
Well, you know, I hear the policy were
Great policy.
being kicked around.
There's not another town around, by the way, that does that, and I checked.
And can I finish, please?
Of course you can.
So, you know, we keep hearing policy. I just want to point out that the highway superintendent is a separately elected official of the town. He has the right, under town law or highway law, to direct his men as he sees fit.
Right, maybe we need a new highway superintendent, good point.
Well, the voters have every 4 years. Mr.
Maybe we need somebody that'll respond to the public's wishes.
Consistently and fairly is how I see him
Consistently and fairly.
responding. That's how I see him responding.
I mean, it looks like somebody's looking for special treatment here, and I don't think that's fair.
We just get every request that Paul asks for, we give it, everything we do. I go to him and say, hey, Paul, they're down. And you go, no, I looked at it, I'm not picking them up. They're a couple feet over. Now you're saying, well, it's more than 2 feet. 5 feet? What difference makes 2 feet, 5 feet? It's right there, and see what happens.
The county does it that way.
No, they don't.
Yeah, they do. My neighbor works tonight on dispatch, and he was just saying the other night that people call in some of the absurd calls they get. And one of the points was, people call and say, there's a dead deer on my yard that someone hit. And he said the county will go out and do it if it's in, I can't even tell you the feet, if it's within this many feet. But if you hit that, if that deer was hit and then it came 50 feet into your yard, the county will not come out and pick it up.
That's not the same as somebody throwing the deer there, Gina. That's nature of the bird. The deer ended up 50 feet on your property. Of course they come. But if somebody took a dead deer and threw it on the wrong side of the road,
Well, there's no differentiation. It's
that's right. But if the dead, no, consider the dead deer as a chair.
Same thing.
It's way about the same.
So, what's your choice?
So it's okay. You go ahead, Paul. If that's the way you want to run your department, you go right ahead. I think that's a wonderful idea.
Sorry, Paul.
Okay, I'm remember something like that. Where are we at?
17. Recreation request, I don't see anything in there.
Nothing. 18, you have anything on your old business other than the opportunity that I talked to at least one of the people at Porto Road, and they didn't like the proposal. They said, well, it's either right or it's wrong, and why would we accept that? You know what I'm talking about, but.
Yeah.
Over at Portville, 7 people live in.
Yeah.
And like I said, here's where we're at right now.
It wasn't my policy, it's what we came with.
Well, yeah, no, that's what I said. I mean, I didn't say this. I just said this is what the board is talking about, and they said no. We're paying for something that clearly we shouldn't be paying for, and they did point out that if you're willing to do that, why would you do the whole thing? And it was hard for me to come up with an answer on that. So that's what that's saying. I've got nothing new about it. Once again, we're trying to get together with them and the highway department. Come to find out, I'm trying to do it on a Friday so it doesn't interfere. So somebody else is going to have to deal with that because I'm not able to. I would like to do it, but lack of cooperation, I've got to turn that over to somebody else. I'm not going to waste my time working with people that want to find a reason not to do something rather than find a reason to do something. I don't know. So
That's
anybody else wants to?
not where we left off at the last meeting.
I know.
We left off at the last meeting that we were going to, I believe you're going to check with the building department to see what the standards were for the cut so that we could get
There's
additional
no real
so we could get additional 2 quotes on it, which is the town's policy for having work done. I don't think it's in writing, but maybe it is, but that's where we left off. I don't know, was there any action?
There's no particular standard. Everybody
There's no handicap?
Everybody has their own. They say you have to have a handicap for a grant.
But there's got to be provided it is.
No, we don't even say that. They're all different. What we do, you already got the side note.
New York State code.
It's got to be uniform fire and building code, it's got to be in there.
Yes.
So we get that information.
Elevation rise 1 inch per foot.
And then what do we do with this?
So it's not that we were being obstruction, we provided direction, there's no follow-up.
If somebody wants to take over, I am not able to do it. So that's the story that I'm not going to do it. Period.
Can answer
If
information.
somebody else wants to do it, fine.
The bird issue. Kevin Elms is coming this weekend. Maureen Lurkey's helped arrange the lift from the school. They are bringing the lift on Friday. They would like to store it inside the building so that nothing happens to it. I've talked to Pete. He is going to either try to be available to unlock the door or have Bruce unlock the door. I'm hoping that Rec has someone, he's going to try to get someone to come and be here when Kevin does it to help with the process, to catch him. I've got all of that to pull down. Yeah, so hopefully not to catch it, right? If he can't, does anybody have a problem with me asking transfer station if they have anyone that would like some additional hours to be able to come and be here when Kevin does this? Because there's all that plastic has to be taken down, so it would be somebody to handle it, the trash bags. All that plastic, all those plastic spikes have to be taken down. Because there's in his spikes. So Kevin's coming on Saturday. I just wanted to know if it was okay, if rec doesn't have someone that can also be here to help, that if we see if transfer station has anyone that would be interested in the extra hours and wouldn't incur overtime to be here to help with the process, instead of having one person here alone.
Well, it shouldn't be.
No, so.
I don't have any problem, whatever you want to do.
Okay. And then one other question. Clerk's Department is receiving requests for garden beds, and some people in the past, and this year also, are hoping to have more than one bed. The question is, are we charging them $20 with a $10 refund possible in the fall for each bed that they rent?
Well, when we first started this offering, the town was going to provide a limited amount of funding for the materials, and then that grew into rec employees helping build the beds, is that correct?
The original beds were built pretty much by volunteers. The rec did bring compost over and help with that portion of it. There were additional, Bob Fitzgerald had gotten additional wood, I believe he donated it. We provided them with a small amount of fertilizer last year. The children are no longer, the school is no longer being used next to the rec park for the community center's summer program. The children have to be tangled this year, so there will be no children in the garden program. Some people do want more than one bed. So the question is, do we want to charge them the 20 and then with the 10 get back on that 20 if they clean the beds? Every year there's some beds that are a little messy. Last year there were beds that were left full of sunflowers, full of plants. There were some beds they left all of the wire, all of the caging. One bed was left completely full of grass. That it's been a mess. So my goal was to be able to eventually buy more wood, because some of the beds have had to be pulled out this year because they are in bad shape. We have so many, and I didn't see replacing them right now. But also to urge people to try to urge them to clean their mess out. But I've got to go over and work on it myself to be able to help out with some of these people that are getting beds this year, because they were left in a bad condition.
Well, whatever, as long as the town's costs are not provided for, I'm okay. Do you have a recommendation?
I actually think that if you're going to get two beds, I don't think it's a lot to ask the $20 for each bed, and we would give them back $10 per bed if they clean their beds out. Last year, it's gotten worse every year when people clean their beds. I don't know if $10 is enough to make them do it, but I wanted to try that. So I guess per bed. Per bed. I think that's, yeah. I make a motion to charge $10 per bed. Even if a person wants more than one bed, they pay $20 a bed, I'm sorry. With a refund of $10 if the bed is left
6 years.
by the end of the year.
Second.
Are we good with that?
I'm good with the, whatever you want to do.
Okay.
Did you get it?
Is everybody aligned? Yeah.
Yeah. Call the roll.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, I guess.
I guess that's it, that's all I have.
I don't think it's going to work, but.
Yeah.
I think the birds have won. That's
So bird writers,
They're smarter than we are.
they're pretty determined.
So, next item. Ongoing bird issues. Change over email server, Ellen's not here. Installation, nothing new. Force main payback, I've already commented, welcome. Has there been any work on the background of what we need to do to make our
Yes, the draft from the engineer outlining
Right,
appropriate charges
right.
and different manners in which we might set those up to be collected. That came into my possession on Wednesday. I called the engineer on Thursday, got back to me yesterday. We discussed the situation, and I've done some research, and I'll get them out to the board as soon as I can, trying to outlay some options.
Okay. Thank you. So as soon as you can, right? I don't know what that will be, but understand, it's in the budget. We're 150,000 short if we don't get it done. Make no mistake about that, okay? I don't have any other questions. We're going to have an executive session. Malcolm has a proposal, settlement proposal on the highway garage roof. I expect that's what it's about.
Correct.
All right? And moving along, it's getting late, and I would ask at this time for motion to go into executive session to discuss a settlement. But on the other hand, since there isn't any litigation, I'm wondering what would be the problem? What would be the problem if we just plain discussed it?
There is litigation. We're talking about the settlement of litigation.
Right, that's what I mean. So
There's a pending lawsuit.
So
Adversarial parties.
what I'm saying is, where's the harm to the public if we discuss how we got where we got? Because you know it's going to come up. You know that. So either way, it's going to come out. So, with that being said, what's the harm? It's either we're going to agree to it or we're not, and there's going to be, I can assure you, continuous arguments against it from at least one person. That I can assure you.
If the board doesn't agree to the settlement, then I would be prejudiced by having this discussion in a public forum if I have to continue the litigation. If the board agrees to the settlement and wants to disclose the terms of the settlement to the public after the case is settled, that's fine.
Malcolm, you said continue litigation?
Continue litigation.
You did?
If the board doesn't agree to the settlement, I've got to continue litigation.
Is there any case filed? Do you have a...
The case has been filed. I sent a memo to the board. I had a court conference on May 16th.
Right.
I have to know if we're going to settle the case or not before that conference.
All right, that's all I wanted. McDonald's cup is 2 feet over the line, that they don't take that sharp stick and poke it and put it in the bag? Of course they do. But a chair that would throw my back out if I had to do it, stays there, and you've got 8 people, the highest paid people in town, and you tell me, and now I'm getting mad all over again, to tell me you wouldn't do it. In the meantime, the next day, another bag of garbage is dumped, which broke open, and my brother went down. I wouldn't do it. My brother went down and picked it up, but we got a name on that one. Now, is it the town's policy if somebody throws garbage and it bounces off the right of way? I'm not talking about driving down the driveway out of sight, putting tires and garbage out of sight of the highway. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about right next to the town right of way, which is 50 feet. So if you toss it and there's no ditch to catch it, and these chairs bounce farther back, then me, the landowner, is responsible. It just happens to be on my property, but I would be just as angry with my conversation with, not so much with you, Paul, but your idea that it's policy. I want to know what policy would direct the highway department in their spring cleanup to go buy 2 overstuffed wet chairs and make a landowner responsible from some jerk that threw them off alongside the road. Is that the town's policy? That's my question.
the town's policy is to do it within the, what's the word for the line?
Well, then I've already said that the policy is that, then why are they picking up outside with their sharp sticks picking? You'll pick up little light pieces of paper outside, they do all the time. Would you think when they clean a road that they don't get outside the 50-foot right of way? Of course they do. Of course they do, come on, you gotta relax them. They're good guys, they're doing it. So you pick up a 2-ounce paper cup, but you don't want to pick up a 150-pound overstuffed chair.
I've never known the right way to 50 feet.
Well, why'd you think they were?
Over the width of the road, not from the front of the road on one side.
It's a 50-foot right of way. The pavement is 20, you got 15 feet from the edge of the pavement to the property line. These chairs are literally 2 feet beyond that 15 feet. That's how far in they are.
2 feet.
No, they're farther than that.
I got pictures of them.
I got pictures.
Well, what difference? It's supposed to 5 feet, Paul.
I'm just saying,
Supposed to be 5 feet.
we've never gone on private property and picked up
You
chairs
picked-
or shingles or anything.
Paul, I asked you, where is the policy? You said that. You said that's what.
Since I started in 99.
Where the policy is. Where, you made up a policy and decide, oh, these chairs, what, you're too heavy for your highway guys to pick up? You expect me to go pick them up? There's some moron dumped off alongside the road? Oh, Gardner, that's your, or any other landowner in the town. Put it on
I've
that.
had several others in the past that we didn't, it's out of the town right away.
Is that policy or?
Well, I've already answered in writing where I am on it.
Have you-
You didn't like my answer.
Well, if
And
you
now-
want me to research your answer, I'll show you it's wrong.
Please let me.
Yep.
Okay, so. We have a state highway that cuts through our farm. We have farm both sides. We have tires, hubcaps, garbage, car parts.
Right.
The state doesn't pick them up when it's out in our trees. Accident happened on the highway, they're not driving through our trees, but the debris gets cast out there. They don't come pick it up. State has a $156 billion budget, doesn't come pick it up.
You tell me the state doesn't pick up Route 32?
No, and when they mow right over to make one piece into 10 pieces.
We gotta talk to them about that.
Now, second of all, I think it's pretty offensive for you to make a comment that our town highway employees, the highest paid employees in the town, their contracts are negotiated, you voted for it. So what do you say?
All I'm saying is respect the taxpayer that pays their salary, and their boss is saying, now, as I pointed out when I started, we put an ad in the paper the very same day.
It's not for.
And we're inviting people, cut all your limbs and put them out in the state highway, we'll come pick them up. We'll spend our money for that, but we won't spend money for some moron that dumps 2 chairs off and put it on the landowner. I don't cut my brush, I never cut my brush and put it in the road for you to pick up, my leaves or anything else. Never. But I don't complain that you do that for other people. But I expect to be treated, just because I happen to be supervisor right now, equal to anybody else that is provided, that service is provided for at the taxpayer's expense. I couldn't believe what Paul told me, that that was policy of the town. Tell me, I'm not moving it, it's staying right there, and I'm gonna put a sign on it. This is your town board at work. That's what I'm going to do. Because I'll be darned if I will pick up after people that violate the town's ordinance that we have at a high price at the landfill. It cost them $10 to put those 2 chairs over there. So what do? They save their $10. We got the fee. We create the problem. Now, I'm not paying $10. We'll dump it down along the road. And that's what they did. But we don't want to be responsible when we say it's going to cost you $10 to retrieve your chairs. But you don't want to be responsible when some bad person does what he did and say, well, we have the ordinance and, you know, there are a few bad people out there. And at the same time, you expect other taxpayers to pay for somebody cutting their brush and putting it out and taking 4 vehicles, I've seen them cost you a fortune to do that, when it would take a little 6 minutes to take one of your pickup trucks that you got down there, toss them on and take it over to the landfill.
Well, first of all, the brush pickup is something that was put in by the board back in
Well,
2001.
I'm not saying.
And it's nothing that the town puts out there, it's something
I
that's.
am bringing up, Paul, the obvious.
Let me finish.
The
Second of all,
confusion anybody would have, they would pick up brush by invitation, and you wouldn't pick up something thrown off.
second of all, now if I start picking up stuff on your private property and his private property and Bob's private property, how many people are gonna go throw their couch out on the side of their yard? I can guarantee there is, because I pick up stuff every week in the industrial park, down at the boat launch,
How come you do that?
because it's in town property. It's right on the edge of the road.
Oh, really?
We get I got 5 TVs right now out of the industrial park.
I saw them, and they're not on the edge of the road.
No, I got 5 in the back of the shop from the
You
industrial
know,
park.
the ones that were thrown off, and I went way down at the end.
I don't know if they're down there.
Your stuff
These
down
were all
there.
right in that first turnaround.
All right,
Yeah, that's like a town dump.
That's a town dump right there.
so the policy of the town is, if you live out in the town, the policy is, if somebody dumps it off, hire somebody to clean it up. If it bounces a foot or 2 outside the town right away, you're responsible, and that's the way the policy is.
Well, you know, I hear the policy were
Great policy.
being kicked around. Let me give
There's
you.
not another town
Let me
around
make it
that
clear. Can I-
does that, not in my check.
And can I finish this?
Of course you can.
So, you know, we keep hearing policy. I just want to point out that the highway superintendent is a separately elected official of the town. He has the right, under town law or highway law, to direct his men as he sees fit.
Right, maybe
So-
we better,
so
maybe we need a new highway superintendent, good point.
Well,
Very
the
good
voters
point.
have an opportunity every 4 years. Mr.
Maybe we need
Supervisor.
somebody that'll respond to the public's wishes.
Yeah.
Consistently and fairly is how I see Paul
Consistently and fairly.
responding. That's how I see him responding.
I mean, it looks like somebody's looking for special treatment here, and I don't think that's fair.
We just get, every request that Paul asks for, we give it, everything we do. I go to him and say, hey, Paul, they're down, and he goes, no, I looked at it, I'm not picking them up, they're a couple of feet over, now you're saying, well, it's more than 2 feet, 5 feet, what difference makes 2 feet, 5 feet? It's right there, and see what happens.
The county does it that way.
No, they don't.
Yeah, they do. My neighbor works at 911 dispatch, and he was just saying the other night that people call in some of the absurd calls they get. And one of the points was, people call and say, there's a dead deer on my yard that someone hit. And he said the county will go out and do it if it's in, I can't even tell you the feet, if it's within this many feet. But if you hit that, if that deer was hit and then it came 50 feet into your yard, the county will not come out and pick it up.
That's not the same as somebody throwing the deer there, Gina. That's nature of the word. The deer ended up 50 feet on your property. Of course it comes. But if somebody took a dead deer and threw it alongside the road.
Well, there's no differentiation. It's
Right. But if the dead, no, consider the dead deer as a chair.
Same thing.
They weigh about the same.
So,
Yeah.
what's your choice?
So it's okay. You go ahead, Paul, if that's the way you want to run your department, you go right ahead. I think that's a wonderful idea.
Sorry, Paul.
Remember something like that. Where are we at?
17. Recreation request, I don't see anything on here.
Nothing. 18, you have anything on your old business other than the opportunity to They didn't like the proposal, they said, well, it's either right or it's wrong, and why would we accept that? You know what I'm talking about, but.
Yeah,
Over at Fortville, 7 people live in,
yeah.
and like I said, here's where we're at right now.
It wasn't my policy, is what we came as.
Well, yeah, no, that's what I said, I mean, I didn't say this, I said this is what the board is talking about, and they said, no, we're paying for something that really we shouldn't be paying for, and they did point out that if you're willing to do that, why would you do the whole thing? And it was hard for me to come up with an answer on that. So, that's what I said. I've got nothing new about it. Once again, we're trying to get together with them and the highway department, but come to find out, we want to do it on a Friday so it doesn't interfere, so somebody else is going to have to deal with that because I'm not able to. I would like to do it, but lack of cooperation, I've got to turn that over to somebody else. I'm not going to waste my time working with people that want to find a reason not to do something rather than find a reason to do something. I don't know. So
That's
everybody else wants to.
not where we left off at the last meeting.
I know.
We left off at the last meeting that we were going to, I believe you're going to check with the building department to see what the standards were for the cut so that we could get
There's
additional
no real
so we could get
standard.
additional 2 quotes on it, which is the town's policy for having work done. And I don't think it's in writing, but maybe it is, but that's where we left off. I don't know, was there any action?
There's no particular standard. Everybody
There's no handicap?
everybody has their own. They say you have to have a handicap for a grant.
But there's got to be how wide it is.
No, they don't even say that. They're all different, what we do, you already got the side note.
New York State code.
It's got to be a uniform fire and building code, it's got to be in there.
Yes.
So we get that information.
Elevation rise 1 inch per foot.
And then what do we do with this?
So it's not that we were being obstruction, we provided directions, there's no follow-up.
If somebody wants to take over, I am not able to do it. So that's the story of that. I'm not going to do it. Period.
Can I answer
If
information?
somebody else wants to do it, fine.
The bird issue. Kevin Elms is coming this weekend. Maureen Lurkey's helped arrange the lift from the school. They are bringing the lift on Friday. They would like to store it inside the building so that nothing happens to it. I've talked to Pete. He is going to either try to be available to unlock the door or have Bruce unlock the door. I'm hoping that Rec has someone, he's going to try to get someone to come and be here when Kevin does it to help with the process, to catch him. I've got all of that to pull down, and so hopefully not to catch him, right? If he can't, does anybody have a problem with me asking transfer station if they have anyone that would like some additional hours to be able to come and be here when Kevin does this? Because there's all that plastic has to be taken down, so it would be somebody to handle it, the trash bags. All that plastic, all those plastic spikes have to be taken down. Because there's a in his spikes. So Kevin's coming on Saturday. I just wanted to know if it was okay. If Rec doesn't have someone that can also be here to help, that if we see if transfer station has anyone that would be interested in the extra hours that wouldn't incur overtime to be here to help with the process, instead of having one person here alone.
Well, it shouldn't be.
No, so.
I don't have a problem, whatever you want to do.
Okay. And then one other question. Clerk's department is receiving requests for garden beds, and some people in the past, and this year also, are hoping to have more than one bed. And the question is, are we charging them $20 with a $10 refund possible in the fall for each bed that they rent?
Well, when we first started this offering, the town was going to provide a limited amount of funding for the materials, and then that grew into rec employees helping build the beds, is that correct?
The original beds were built pretty much by volunteers. The
Right.
rec did bring compost over and help with that portion of it. There were additional, Bob Fitzgerald had gotten additional wood, I believe he donated it. We provided them with a small amount of fertilizer last year. The children are no longer, the school is no longer being used next to the rec park for the community center's summer program. The children have paid tango this year, so there will be no children in the garden, or the front garden program. Some people do want more than one bed. So the question is, do we want to charge them the 20 and then put the 10 back on that 20 if they clean the beds? Every year there's some beds that are a little messy. Last year, there were beds that were left full of sunflowers, full of plants. There were some beds they left all of the wire, all of the caging. One bed was left completely full of grass, that it's been a mess. So my goal was to be able to eventually buy more wood, because some of the beds have had to be pulled out this year because they are in bad shape. We have so many, I didn't see replacing them right now. But also to urge people to try to urge them to clean their mess out. But I've got to go over and look at it myself to be able to help out the other people that are getting beds this year, because they were left in bad condition.
Well, whatever, as long as the town's costs are provided for, I'm okay with, you have recommendation.
I actually think that if you're gonna get two beds, I don't think it's a lot to ask, the $20 for each bed, and we would give them back $10 per bed if they clean their beds out. Last year, it just has gotten worse every year with people cleaning their beds. I don't know if $10 is enough to make them do it, but I wanted to try that. So I guess per bed. I think that's, I make a motion to charge $10 per bed, even if a person wants more than one bed, they pay $20 a bed, I'm sorry, with a refund of $10 if the bed is left by the end of the year.
Second.
Are we good with that?
I'm good with whatever you want to do.
Okay.
All right.
Did you get it?
Is everybody aye? Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Call the roll.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, I guess.
I guess that's it, that's all I have.
I don't think it's going to work, but.
Yeah.
I think the birds have won. That's
So bird writers, they're
They're smarter than we are.
pretty determined.
So, next item. Ongoing bird issues. Change over email server, Alan's not here. Installation, nothing new. Force main payback, I've already commented, welcome. Has there been any work on the background of what we need to do to make our...
Yes, the draft from the engineer outlining appropriate charges and different manners in which we might set those up to be collected. That came to my possession on Wednesday. I called the engineer on Thursday, got back to me yesterday. We discussed the situation, and I've done some research, and I'll get them out to the board as soon as I can, trying to outline some options.
Okay. Thank you. So, as soon as you can, right? I don't know what that will be, but understand, it's in the budget. We're $150,000 short if we don't get it done. Make no mistake about that, okay? I don't have any other questions. We're going to have an executive session. Malcolm has a proposal, settlement proposal on the highway garage roof. I expect that's what it's about.
Correct.
All right. And moving along, it's getting late, and I would ask at this time for motion to go into executive session to discuss a settlement. But on the other hand, since there isn't any litigation, problem if we just plain discussed it?
There is litigation. We're talking about settling a litigation.
Right, that's what I mean. So the
There's
public.
a pending lawsuit.
So
Adversarial parties.
what I'm saying is, where's the harm to the public if we discuss how we got where we got? And you know it's going to come up. You know that. So either way, it's going to come out. So, with that being said, what's the harm is it's either we're going to agree to it or we're not, and there's going to be, I can assure you, continuous arguments against it from at least one person. That I can assure you.
If the board doesn't agree to the settlement, then I would be prejudiced by having this discussion in a public forum if I have to continue the litigation. If the board agrees to the settlement and wants to disclose the terms of the settlement to the public after the case is settled, that's fine.
Malcolm, you said continue litigation?
It's in litigation.
It is?
If the board doesn't agree to the settlement, I've got to continue the litigation.
Is there any case filed? Do you have a?
The case has been filed. I sent a memo to the board. I had a court conference on May 16th.
Right.
I have to know if we're going to settle the case or not before that conference.
All right, that's why I wanted to be sure. Okay. And that's against who?
That's against all of the parties that remain in litigation. Engineer, the general contractor, and the subcontractor.
Was that in those files? I didn't
Yeah,
see it.
it's in memos confidential memos I sent to the board over the past weeks.
I meant the paperwork on it. All right, okay. But, I'm prepared to go.
Part of that resolution to discuss SCA or not?
SCA?
Yeah,
You want to be here for that?
if you're gonna,
I don't know what we can add, Harry, to the SCA unless some board member knows something.
I think we'd have to have a.
Do you know anything?
No.
No.
We're not privy to any more information, Harry, than you are.
And that's
Now,
what they
Malcolm,
told us.
are you prepared? I know Carl was handling that last I knew.
I think Carla did a memo to the board
Right.
in advance of this meeting.
Oh,
so the board has nothing and council has nothing?
I don't know what we would discuss here without Peggy Jenkins and Carla being here. I don't know what value that we could enlighten you, because I'm more than happy to share whatever I have, okay? Or can find out for that matter. Okay, motion.
Does anybody know, I mean, are we in discovery phase? Is there a date set, anything? Is appraisal an exchange or order?
There's supposedly a date set for hearing, but I'm told it's not going to happen, but I only got that verbally. I don't have anything in writing. Everything was geared toward a May appearance. Have had nothing since, zero. Except I'm told that it's going to happen. So, that's the story there.
Did you contact Peggy?
Yeah, quite honestly, I got no meaningful answer. That's why I came here.
Peggy had nothing else when I told her you had questions. She said anything that she's told you is everything that she's told us, that there's nothing more.
Then who's managing this case?
Carl and.
It was outside counsel.
There is outside.
Handling the case. The lead counsel, Carla's been monitoring outside counsel according to the board.
So you do have special counsel?
Special counsel.
Who is that? Is that being done through your firm? Is there something on the record that indicates who it is and how much we're paying them?
I'm sure that there
Does
is.
the board know who the outside counsel is?
I don't have that information tonight.
Does the board know who the outside?
Now, the board knows. The board has had conversations with outside counsel,
You're talking Erie, correct?
SCA also.
Okay, I wasn't sure if you wanted me to start the number when you was talking.
Was that name available to the public or without the special counsel?
I'm not sure, I don't have it. I don't know.
I don't know the name.
All right,
Do we have the name? Yes. Do I have the name tonight?
thank you.
It's a state secret.
Make a motion to go into executive session.
Yeah, made a motion, second,
Yes.
to discuss.
I would request that